Oh, wait, no longer greatness has arrived. Welcome to episode 310 of The Trophy Room, a PlayStation podcast made by the players for the players. I'm your host, Joseph, aka Mr. Badbit, and it is here where me and my best friend Kyle talk about the latest, the greatest in all things PlayStation. Of course, this week, we're talking all about the value of PlayStation Plus is bringing this month, a sneaky PlayStation acquisition that will make you go ballistic. Are we finally going to eat with some state of play news soon? And PSVR2 chat with Steve Vegvari. And of course, we interviewed the great Jane Perry, the voice behind Selene in Returnal, and so much more. But with all that said, and with all that out of the way, the greatest co-host whoever is, whoever will be, Mr. Kyle Stevenson. How are you, sir?
Oh, yeah. I had to do that for the video viewers. Excuse the weird sound that just came out of my mouth.
Excuse the lag, yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing okay. Just okay.
Just okay. We're having a great show here, Kyle.
Oh, we're gonna have a fantastic show. It's a huge show. I'm excited to sit down and talk with you. Trying not to be a bummer, and it failed already.
No! Listen, I'm so excited. I've been excited about this episode for the past day now. For the past,
it's big.
24, 48 hours. I mean, we get to talk about PlayStation VR2 with Steve from Console Features. We talked to the great Jane Perry about her roles and especially about Selene and Returnal. Just so many great conversations here. It's a huge show. I can't wait.
Jane said something in that at the end that blew me away and took me aback for a second. The
kind words out of her.
Wild.
Endless amount. I cherish them. She was terrific. Same with Steve. But before we get into it, I always want to do a little bit of an icebreaker on the show. Yeah. And you said, hey, let me pull up this question from an audience member, and a question like you could send us, whether you follow us at PS Trophy Room, whether you follow us on our Discord server, links down below to all that jazz. So take it away, Kyle.
Yeah, I pulled this up from our mailbag, Sony Pony Express. Yeah. I was like, oh, this would be a good icebreaker question said, so I'll put it up here. This comes from the one and only Yuna. Hey there, guys. I hope you guys are doing good and sniping all the trophies you can get. Like a Dragon Ishin Early Access is in 2 days, and I'm super hyped. Though I'm getting it on PC just to be different than getting it on PS5. My question this week is more of a scenario question. With Valentine's Day being this week, I want you guys to imagine you all go on a date with each other. Okay. And you're able to bring a +1. Okay. Who will that +1 be? And what do you picture happening on that date?
Okay, Kyle, let me switch this up.
Or is this the PG-13 version of the story? Or what are we talking here?
Let's not get nuts, okay? Their kids could be watching here, okay?
No, absolutely.
Remember, Santa's
I don't
real
do that
and all
on
that
our first
stuff.
date anyway.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Keeping it classy. Yeah. We go to a nice. First off, I want us to pick each other's dates.
Oh, okay.
So, who do you think? And Kyle, I'm going to give you the honor. So first, I want to pick the setting.
Are we doing fictional or are we doing real people?
Okay. No. Listen,
I was about to say, don't do that.
Lady Gaga is not going to.
Alexa Bliss is already married.
Exactly. I don't want to be the tear in that relationship. I don't want to break a marriage up. So fictional PlayStation characters, okay? PlayStation characters who fit our personalities. All right. Mm-hmm. And I want to set a setting because it's the Valentine's Day. It just passed, but whatever. And you're probably listening to this. You're like, Valentine's what? Nonetheless, setting. Romantic Olive Garden. When you're here, your family, endless breadsticks, pasta salad, like the bowl. And if you want to get crazy, you want to get really nuts, you could take them on a tour to Italy, right there.
Oh, okay.
Olive Garden. When you hear your family, nothing says romantic like a Olive Garden, or asterisks if there's no Olive Garden in your area. All right, ladies, gentlemen, listen up. A hula hands. That's right. Hula hands.
What is a hula hands?
Exactly. It is fine dining at its at its peak. Now we get the booth seat. So I'm setting the scene, dimly lit, again, Olive Garden. When you hear your family, you're only getting top-notch service. It's not a plug. Every time I've been in there, top-notch. They give you a little disc when you have to wait, right? And oddly enough, number 69. We're waiting, okay? That's as dirty as we're getting.
Yeah.
Who's our dates? Kyle?
Yeah?
Much respect, first and foremost. Respectfully, Tifa.
Okay.
Tifa's your girl. I feel like, in my heart of hearts, I feel like she's right for you. I think you...
Oh, nice.
I think she's the anchor you need. I think you're the warm blanket. You know what I mean?
Fair.
She, like, if you guys are getting mugged, she's going to beat them up. Don't get me wrong. You're standing back. You're like, oh, my pearls. She's beating them up. But you're the warm blanket. You know?
Oh, I like
she
that.
needs comfort in her life. You know? She doesn't have that. And I feel like you're that.
Oh, man, that's a great pick. I would love to go on a date with Tifa.
I know.
My pick for you,
I think, dress.
My pick for you, Joe, matches your personality, your energy. I feel like the banter between you two would be on fire all night long. It would be a joy to watch.
You'd be vibing.
So I'm setting you up with Chloe Frazier.
Oh my!
You and Chloe, man, that's a match made in heaven right there.
Yeah. That's that honestly I do think Chloe Frazier is like the first like video game lady that I was like, ooh, she pretty, you know, like the realest real one. I think it's Chloe for sure. So yeah, and then like she gets to talk about all the adventures she's been on. Maybe if things go well,
as a history buff yourself, I mean, come on,
right?
You guys would gel. Come on.
And I feel like she gets to take me on an adventure of hers as well. Like if things go right, like 3-4 months in, and then like I contract a weird jungle disease where my hand's like 18 sizes the way it should be.
I'm just imagining like Lost Legacy, but instead of like Sam or Nadine driving the Jeep around in that open world section, it's you.
Yep.
And you're stopping all over the place while Chloe gets out and does her little adventures and so whatnot, and be like, "All right, babe, I'm right here.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll be here when you get out."
I got the Vita. I got stung by like a exotic hornet, and now I got 2 hands. So
yeah,
don't know. How
you're
that's
going in that
work.
cave? No, I'll stay here.
It's good.
Someone's got to watch the Jeep. You know,
exactly.
There's soldiers running all over the place.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I got this gun. I don't know how to use it. All right, Kyle. Listen, all the romance aside, Valentine's Day, treating us well and all that jazz. It's time to talk about PlayStation. But before we do, a little bit of housekeeping. We revamped our entire Patreon to give you guys and gals more value over there. So please check out all the big changes. We literally made it more accessible than ever. We pretty much, what we did was we took all the tiers and just made it a little bit easier for everybody to just get in and to be a supporter, to get your shout outs, to get custom swag, all the things. So check out all the changes.
Something we did add, the swag and whatnot, just so everyone knows. I figure we'll talk about it here so that to get you to click over. Gold tier members, which is $15 a month. 3 months of consecutive support at that level will get you a special Trophy Room t-shirt.
That's right.
I'm thinking we, get a community artist to make a design and put that on the shirt for y'all, similar to our posters, which are going out soon.
That's right.
They're in Joe's hands.
That's right.
It's destiny. They will be out there
by this weekend.
We'll have them eventually.
That's right.
And then platinum, you'll not only get a shirt, but you also get a mug. Same thing. 3 months consecutive support. And so it's all revamped and easier to have access. It's the easiest access. Oh my God.
You got this.
It's the most accessible our Patreon has ever been. There we go.
And one person's like, sold. You nailed it. Really what we just did, we took away the plus tiers and just put everything in the bronze, silver, gold, platinum tiers to just make it easier for just even us to comprehend and to make it, again, easier for you all as well. And so if you want a shout out on the show, it's literally $7 a month, the silver tier. You get all types of bonuses. You get all the bonus shows if you're just a bronze Bronze member. You get our monthly bonus show if you're just $1 or below, all that type of stuff. So much there for you, and it's because of your support. It's the reason why we look so good, we sound so great, is because of your generosity over at patreon.com/PS Trophy Room. I want to thank our newest patrons at the silver tier. I want to thank Bertos Maximus. I want to thank No Fate at the bronze tier. And I know, listen, I named so nice, I had to add it in twice. DJ Hercules at the 89 at the bronze tier. I want to thank our premium. You see what I did there? Producers Todd Burowitz and Toxic. I want to thank our platinum members, Brad Presnell, Brenton Gillian, Jedi Master Ren, Cowboy Danger D, which sent a very salacious selfie of him in the general chat, which kept a PG-13, but hot damn, good sir, hot damn. Happy Valentine's Day to you and yours. Jonas Young, Jose Jimenez, The Green Gorilla Gamer, Chaotic Monkey, Millennial Falcon Gaming, Ryuko Kill 90, Sith Lord 92, Spam and Bam, and Steven Flesh, and Strubles in Bits. And I want to thank our gold members, Awesome Dave, Cypher Primus, Baldrin, Doss Simon the Pie Man, Doss Simon, you broke me. Daniel Welsh, Elo 2032, Jesse Garcia, JB the Purple Monkey, Hide Indoors, Nakachaka, Katie, Kevin Mitchell, Kevin Diaz, K Grim, Lamb Chop 93, Marcus O'Neill, Androsasaur, Astronaut Jr., not to be mistaken with Astronaut Senior, Rick Arrington, Dewane Raksha, Aztec King, Robbie Bobby Miller, Brenton Zachary, Brenty Blob, Bubble Boy N7, Captain Logan, Final Fan XZ, Hambone, JD Dillinger, M9 Prime, Stone Cold, ET, Tino 6 Speed, M Kyle _H85. and Johnson and Sean McKenzie. But thank you all for your support and for giving me cotton mouth there. It's dry. It's like a desert. And again, all your support over at patreon.com/PS Trophy Room keeps the lights on, keeps the show going. It's all because of your generosity over at patreon.com/PS Trophy Room. Now it's finally time, Kyle, to square up the news.
First bit of news that needs to be squared up comes from Steve Watts over at GameSpot. PlayStation State of Play reportedly coming within a month, bigger showcase before E3. PlayStation may have its own State of Play event coming soon, followed by a bigger PlayStation Showcase event sometime before June, according to Giant Bomb's Jeff Grubb. On his daily news show Game Mess Mornings, Grubb said that while plans could shift, he expects to see a State of Play within the next month. Quote, a State of Play should be happening in the next few weeks to month, Grubb said. In that range, next few weeks to a month, we should see a State of Play. At least that's the current plan. Right now, these things have shifted before, end quote. Grubb went on to state that it's not just a State of Play in the works, as a PlayStation Showcase is also said to be on the way sometime before E3. He later clarified that by E3, he simply means the general time frame of when E3 takes place, which is in June.
All right, Kyle, we're finally getting rumblings. We're finally getting the rumors, the speculation of not just the next State of Play, but the PlayStation Showcase that we're so hungry for. Yeah. That said, let's start with the State of Play, because he said it's going to be, it's going to be way more subdued. It's going to be a low-key State of Play. Yeah. I want to know, A, do you buy this story? Do you want it to be true? And B, what do you think of when he says it's going to be a, lower stakes show?
Sure. I want to take this opportunity. We're recording a little bit earlier, so if you hear running around upstairs, there's nothing I can do.
Oh, yeah. If you hear loud Puerto Ricans in the back, that's my family, so...
It's a big show. We had to move times around.
Yeah, that's me.
Do I like this news? Of course, right? Our order's been placed at the restaurant. We're hungry.
Yeah.
We're just waiting for the meal to come out.
Chloe and Tifa are waiting. Okay.
They're waiting. They're waiting.
Come on.
I think a smaller State of Play makes sense. I think they want to save the big guns for an eventual showcase. Whether or not this State of Play is focused on VR or the smaller like second party stuff, if there is any, because they seem so hell bent on here in the next hour on Twitter. Here's 4 indies every 15 minutes. Go to the blog. It's just like, well, if you do that, then in my opinion, in my guess, that would take them out of a State of Play.
Sure.
I don't think they talk about it on Twitter and then also add it in the State of Play if we're getting one in the next few weeks. That just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. So what is in that State of Play outside of maybe some VR stuff? I have no clue.
Mm.
Really, I expect most of the PlayStation news that we want is going to be at that showcase. I
Yeah.
don't think we're getting Spider-Man stuff in the state of play. I don't think we're getting whatever Blue Point's working on in the state of play. I think all of that is showcase stuff. And so at this point, why not just wait until the showcase? I don't know. I want the state of play to mean something or
Right.
give us something meaningful than just like, hey, we're still a thing. Like, I don't know.
I know Nintendo did it, so we have to. No,
yeah, exactly. Right?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be an afterthought. I do think this is going to be a slower show, for sure. And to give you guys the window, we're working with for the PlayStation Showcase. It's anywhere between end of May to June 22nd, which is the launch date of Final Fantasy 16, right? So if we're working with those dates, I do feel like this state of play, if we're also going by the history in which they showcase state of plays, it's anywhere between the end of February, the last week of February, or the first week or second week of March. So it's coming up soon. And I think what this state of play is going to be is, hey, here is all of our stuff that's not Final Fantasy, that's not Spider-Man, that's coming out this year on PlayStation. Here's our second party. Here's maybe an X-Dev with like, what is it? Sacred Blade, right? Like that game's coming out
Stellar
2023.
Blade.
Sorry, Stellar Blade. That game's coming out 2023. So you probably want to push something like that. You want to push something like Resident Evil to get people associating that game with yours, with your console, and to even help.
That's a good point.
Jedi Survivor as well, to see a little bit more of that. So to me, this state of play I think is going to serve more of, here's some of the wacky, some of the, maybe even Jedi isn't even there, but like here are some of the wackier, the more PlayStation games, right? You know, your weird JRPGs that usually wouldn't get the light of day, but we're showcasing. You know, if I'm thinking back to last year's state of play, it was a lot of that, right? It was a lot of like Diofield. It was a lot of Valkyrie Elysium, right? It's the smaller AA and maybe some of the AAA games that get out there. That's what I'm thinking that this showcase is. That's
do we get a Suicide Squad, do you think?
No.
Because I couldn't remember off the top of my head where that marketing lies.
Yeah. No, I do think it is with PlayStation, but I don't think it is at this state of play. I think if it's if he's saying it's a slower show or it's a smaller in scope, I definitely think something like Stellar Blade is the showcase and everything else is kind of behind it, you know?
Could be, now that I'm looking at some of the games that are coming up in the next couple of months, obviously MLB The Show will probably be a part of that. Burning Shores, the DLC for Horizon.
Absolutely
That's probably a good get. Do you think they go Dead Island?
Do you think they want to?
That's the thing.
I feel like if the Dead Rising crew wants to be there, they'll buck it up. But no, I don't think that's gonna be there. I do think it's a lot of like, again, like more Japanese style stuff. But I could see some first party like a Horizon actually probably be the headline. I totally forgot about Burning Shores. So like like Stellar Blade and Horizon could be the showcase games that we have there. Absolutely.
Probably a character unveil for Street Fighter 6, maybe.
Ooh, that's a good one too. Yeah. Again, you want to showcase what's coming onto your platform, even if it's not necessarily an exclusive.
Yeah, so, for sure.
That being said, though, now we get to the PlayStation Showcase, Kyle. And I want to know...
Oh, boy.
I want to know what you need to, like... Does this show... Like what
do I need?
What do you need, Kyle?
What do I need? Let me tell you the ways. I need a new Resistance. I need a Spider-Man 2 deeper dive than the one trailer that we've gotten.
Double check. Okay.
I need to see what Blue Point is working on, and if it's not Legend of Dragoon remake, let me move on.
Okay. Yeah.
What else I mean, I'm trying to think. Like, I think it's still too early to see whatever Naughty Dog's working on, other than the multiplayer. I think seeing the multiplayer in action would be amazing.
Yeah,
and just like you'll hear it later, but we just had our talk with Steve about VR2. Like, show us some big VR2 stuff.
How long do you think the showcase needs to be?
The showcase needs to be at least an hour and 20 minutes long.
Oh my God, Kyle, let's slow the roll here. Hour 20.
Hours? What do you mean? No, it's not. If they do a deep dive on Spider-Man 2, it's a big flagship title that is out this year. Let's say it goes 15 minutes.
Okay.
That's an hour for everything else.
But okay.
It's plenty.
So for me, listen, I feel like you
Kyle's crazy. So let's
Kyle took some crazy pills.
So much is show. I mean, is it though? So much is unknown. They need to start talking. They need to talk.
So the first, the last showcase was about 42 minutes long. The one before that was about 56 minutes long. I think that's what you're going to get here. I don't think they necessarily need to make up for the lack of their appearance last year, right?
So you're saying hour 20, I got a chance. That's all I'm hearing.
I'm saying you're going to get a 45-minute to a 56-minute showcase. And I think you'll see those big, like, Final Fantasy, its own state of play. Spider-Man, dude, they're going to milk that marketing so well. Like absolutely. That, you don't need the biggest deep dive. You just need another trailer showing us more of this game, and maybe a couple minutes of, PD, swinging in the sky and whatnot. But other than that, it doesn't just hit us with here's what's coming out here: Bloodborne 2, Elden Ring 3, like all that type of stuff. You can hit us with the games that we know that are coming out in the next 6 months, year and a half. Still, I don't think they need to have a huge showcase. And I know I'm crazy when I say this for the sake of having a big showcase, because I'm thinking of the pacing as a producer. Everybody's gonna go, that was way too long. I think you want something that's about an hour to get people excited, and then get people excited for the refresh that is the detachable PlayStation 5 and some of the accessories that we're gonna get later, to get people amped for the holiday. So that's what I kind of think. I think they don't need to make up for having, a lack of showcase this year with just more games. Just show us what you have in store, because Papa's getting worried, So for me, that's what I want to see out of this showcase. I feel like I'm coming at this with a super realistic lens of what we're expecting here, right? And Kyle, you look shocked. You look perplexed that I would.
No, I am. I'm looking at some things here.
You're trying to prove me wrong. You're really trying to justify an hour 20-minute show.
Yeah. So.
Okay. All right. Go for it.
So an hour 20, roughly, was the length of the greatest E3 PlayStation Showcase 2016.
Okay.
Do you think that was too long? Do you? Because as somebody who just rewatched that 3 times in the last week, different live reacts, it goes by super quick. And they threw a lot of stuff out there and had deeper dives on, like, they had Horizon gameplay, they had Days Gone gameplay, Kojima coming out the walkway, whatever. Like, that was roughly an hour 20, and I can see them going big if they really want to. Now I feel like they are now moving into, let's not worry about PS4 player base. Let's go all in next gen. Here's what you can play only on PlayStation 5, PSVR2. I think they give us at least 2 or 3 games that we're playing next year.
I'm gonna meet you as halfway as I could get, and I say an hour and change. Because
hour 20, baby.
Kojima walking down those steps took a little time. All right.
I mean, let's not forget, Death Stranding 2 was the thing that was announced during the Game Awards.
Yeah. And it very much could be a thing we could be playing next year. But that said, I think an hour 20 still, even with, I get it, the E3 of Dreams, that was 2016. I definitely think in today's, direct-like featurettes, that the pacing is going to be felt, because you don't have an audience to feed off of you with the excitement of every game popping. So that said, I do think I will give you an hour and change. Nothing more, nothing less. Tops hour 5.
This is the hill I die on.
All right, fair enough. Listen, you and everybody else, that is fine. And hey, Kyle, listen, that's enough about this state of play talk. Of course, if there is a state of play announced between now and next week's episode, expect a bonus show, expect our predictions, what we think, and all that stuff.
Expect the live react.
Yep, the live react afterwards. Make sure you're following us at PS Trophy Room, because this episode was a little late for your feeds as well, and you could get all the updates you need if you head on over to PS Trophy Room. And so you're not always worried. You're like, where's this episode? Don't worry, it was a little late because PSVR2. It is what it is. But that being said, follow us there. It is time to get into our next story. That is, we're getting into speculation town.
Zarmina Khan over at PS Lifestyle writes, Sony may have acquired new studio Ballistic Moon. Well. It looks like new developer Ballistic Moon has joined the PlayStation Studios family. This quote-unquote leak, if we can call it that, comes from a job listing published by none other than Sony itself. Ballistic Moon developers are no stranger to PlayStation Studios. The job advert for a senior dialogue designer based in London states that PlayStation is looking for someone to work on, quote, major AAA projects alongside our partners at studios such as Naughty Dog, Santa Monica Studio, Guerrilla Games, Firesprite, Ballistic Moon, London Studios, Housemarque, Media Molecule, Insomniac Games, Sucker Punch Productions, and more, end quote. The quote-unquote partners listed here, we've got the receipts if Sony scrubs anything. Oh man, Zarmina going hard. Are all Sony studios with the exception of Ballistic Moon. That it's listed among first-party developers and is the only studio that hasn't officially been declared a first-party developer, in parentheses, yet, is a little odd. Ballistic Moon staff members have a history of working with Sony. The studio comprises of former Supermassive Games leads who have worked on titles like Until Dawn. More recently, a job listing revealed that Ballistic Moon is working on a PS5 single-player narrative-based game codenamed Project Bates.
Ooh-wee. All right, Kyle. Let's get into speculation town, but we're just window shopping.
Population okay? Me.
We're just window shopping. We're not here to buy anything. We're not. I have to listen. I have to return some Blue Point rumors. So you just look around. Don't even touch. Don't even touch. All right.
Okay.
Do you think there's any plausible way that this is true? Because last year, right after the Activision acquisition, we got the Bungie acquisition, right? Like a week or two afterwards. And then, a few weeks after the Bungie news, we got them acquiring, Haven Studios. And then a few months after that, you got them acquiring Nexus, and you got them acquiring some other support studios, small in scope for sure.
Wasn't Firesprite a part of that too?
Firesprite as well. So I think Firesprite may have been a little bit earlier, but nonetheless.
Sure.
PlayStation's announced these things.
Yeah.
So what do you think is the real percentage chance they went out, they acquired this company of which we have really no idea who they are other than they've worked on Until Dawn? What do you think?
I'm going to say low.
Why is that?
I don't know. Because I'm looking at the studios that are listed, right?
Yeah.
And to me, I feel like if it was, I mean, yes, they're all PlayStation studios, but you just mentioned like Haven Studios. Why is that not more of a marquee name on there?
Right.
Instead of just under the banner of and more. If Ballistic Moon is a partner, I feel like the people who read these things over would have been like, hey, this is an oversight, put it in the end more.
Right.
Like because I'm with you. I feel like this would have been a bigger deal. Maybe some lines got crossed and this is like a timed exclusive kind of thing.
Sure.
Instead of just a full on purchase of the studio, but something fishy is going on. I just don't know exactly what that means.
Yeah, I don't know if you could identify, oh, this is it. This is a thing that's happening. Because again, just showing like the timeline that was last year. I mean, like weeks after the Activision one, we got Bungie. And they announced it. It was public. We knew their intentions. Same with Haven. I do understand maybe we're part in the Activision, acquisition where things are getting really tense. So maybe we start, huddling up and keeping things closer to the chest. Maybe with an announcement of a new studio that would maybe hurt your chances of killing that deal if you're PlayStation. But even then, again, you announced Haven, right? You still announced Bungie. Yeah. And so for me, I don't think that would hurt PlayStation's chances. Maybe some wires got crossed and the person writing up this form was previously working on the project that's at, Ballistic Moon. That could very much be a thing. But here's the thing that gets a little saucy here, right? I'm looking at this greenhouse.io board, okay? And I'm like, where does it say Ballistic Moon? It looks like someone did go back and they took Ballistic Moon's name off of this list.
Interesting.
So that's where things get, a little interesting, a little spicy, but I don't think that this is it. But if Sony is keeping it relatively close to the chest, it would make sense because they don't have to announce that they've acquired a company that's not publicly traded. So it would make sense if they said, hey, you know what, Ballistic Moon, wait for it. Just like with the other devs as well, and I'm blanking on their name. Their studio, you see a whole bunch of DualSense controllers.
That's what I was looking up. Is it Firewalk?
Not Firewalk. No. It is.
Demolition.
Demolition. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So
because I had that same thought. They had very much. They are leading PlayStation, but they're not acquired, quote unquote.
Exactly. So PlayStation fans, in short, don't expect really anything out of this, and I would say don't even expect any acquisition talk for the foreseeable future. I think if a partnership is going really well. And they see some really big potential of where this partnership can go, you'll see a fire sprite situation. But until then, I think they're working the best they can with the XDev to make sure they're pumping out the best games possible. And I think wires just simply got crossed here. There's nothing to see here, Kyle. But you know what there is, Kyle? You know what there is?
What?
There's blood in the gosh dang water with this next story that everybody added me for some reason. They wanted me to be violent here. Take it away.
Oh, Ryan Easby over at PS Lifestyle writes, Xbox Game Pass hurt sales, Microsoft finally admits. In a reveal that shocks nobody, Microsoft has revealed that Xbox Game Pass causes sales of games on the service to decrease. The reveal comes about thanks to the provisional report from the UK Competition and Markets Authority that was produced due to the ongoing investigation into the Microsoft and Activision Blizzard merger and goes against statements from Phil Spencer himself. The report states the following when it comes to Xbox Game Pass. Quote, Microsoft also submitted that its internal analysis shows a redacted percentage decline in base game sales 12 months following their addition on Game Pass, end quote. This has long been speculated to be the case, but the report provides the first official confirmation of the reality of the situation. This is in sharp contrast to previous statements by Phil Spencer in an interview with LevelUp.com, in which Spencer stated, quote, when you put a game like Forza Horizon 4 in Game Pass, you instantly have more players on the game, which is actually leading to more sales of the game. Some people have questioned that, but when State of Decay 2 launched, you saw if you looked in the US at the NPD, you saw this game selling really well the month it launched on Game Pass, end quote. And in an updated statement by Microsoft states, quote, we're focused on helping game creators of all sizes maximize the total financial value they receive through Game Pass. Each game is unique, so we work closely with creators to build a custom program to reflect what they need, ensure they are compensated financially for their participation in the service, and allow room for creativity and innovation, end quote.
Oh boy, oh geez, oh my goodness. First off, y'all, I gotta ask y'all a question, because everybody was hyped with this question. Why do y'all tag me with this? Why they're like, hey Joe, we want you to get violent. We know that the Hulk's inside Bruce. All right?
The wolf in sheep's clothing. They're ready.
Just unleash the beast. And I say, why? Why is that? Because I could say I told you so, sure. But what's the fun in that? I get it. Listen, there's a lot of Xbox folks that listen to the show, a lot of PlayStation folks that listen to the show. We're kind of like the bridge of sanity. I get it. And sure, sometimes we say things we might not agree with, but it's coming from a good place. That being said, we got a ton of questions, so let's just get right into it.
Yeah.
First one, let's go from DJ Hercules 89. Hey guys, if Game Pass is hurting sales, do you think they should give us a modified version of Game Pass and make it like an extended demo or trial only? Man, PlayStation would love that. They don't have to worry about it that much.
Yeah, no.
No, they don't have to do that. Xbox is doing... This is their bread and butter here, right? This is what they want you to be a part of this service because it's a thing that's making them money. If it's just like a demo thing, nobody wants it. It's PlayStation Premium. Like, let's be real at that point.
Or even if they go the route of like back in the day when we would go to Blockbuster and rent a game and you have 5 days.
Yeah.
Right? Like, even if that is what Game Pass was, it still wouldn't work. It'd be too much backpedaling for them to change, or too much re-educating their gamer base to understand what this new Game Pass would be.
Yeah, there'd be a whole bunch of revolts. There'd be riots in the streets. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
You just went back. Why? On all of it?
Exactly.
No, people would be leaving that platform.
It's the Movie Pass debacle all over again if they decide to do that. Remember how bad that went down?
It's like Michael Scott when he asked for more money. It's like, but we paid you.
It's the Scott's Tots episode of The Office.
Oh no!
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know, and you can't hide that pain. Kevin Ainsworth writes in, "Hey guys, regarding Game Pass question, I have to ask, why are people forgetting that developers and publishers get paid to include their game in Game Pass, and for indie games it can often pay for the entire development costs? Just look at Mike Rose from No More Robots and what he said or talked about on Twitter. The whole cannibalizing sales narrative fails to take into account, and I assume it's because most only think about the big AAA games, which tend to be multi-platform, so they'll only sell on other consoles, but it's still a big chunk of money from Xbox. So, who cares? Generally wondering why people are freaking out. I'm kind of with Kev.
Agreed. Yeah, it's not like they go to these devs like, hey, can we put on Game Pass? And that's it. No, they are financially compensated for that. Yeah. Same thing on PS Plus for the games of the month. Those devs are given some money to have that be a part of that program.
Yeah. It's
not like devs are not just throwing away money and be like, you know, as long as they're people play this game, we're good. If that was the case, they would have made the game free to play.
Right. And I mean, it goes with the statement that Microsoft said, which is we're focused on helping game creators of all sizes maximize total financial value through Game Pass. So, you know, it goes back to like the Power Wash devs. Power Wash devs had an exclusive launch on Xbox. Yep. You know, they were exclusive on Game Pass. And because of all those things, the money that Microsoft gave them was that of their development costs and then some. Now, listen, there's going to be a day, and I'm not sitting here and telling you and denying it, that the payout for Game Pass will not be worth it. We're seeing it right now with Netflix. We're seeing it right now with streaming services in general, right? You're either getting those big AAA, you know, or big budgeted productions, or you're getting nothing at all, or you're getting the dumb reality TV shows that are just haunting, you know, Netflix, where people are dating each other with wearing like weird goat masks. Odd stuff over there, but like they're dressed up like an alien. No, stop! Please stop! Please stop! You're hurting my point when you talk about sets. Like, you know, there may be a future where that is the case, and you do see some publishers kind of push back from the Game Pass ideas. You know, Devolver being one of those that you don't really see a lot on Game Pass. The deal has to be very lucrative for them to jump on. So there are publishers and devs that don't like it, and so they just don't publish many of their games there. But yeah, to me, it's not hurting anybody, so who really cares is where I kind of fall on this. I don't know. I can't be angry. I can't unleash the beast.
I agree. Yeah. No.
Because like usually how it works is for most games, I mean, we're going to talk about the PlayStation Plus month this month, which is incredible, but most games have a tail, and once that tail is about to be done, they'll knock on a PlayStation door, they'll knock on an Xbox door, they'll knock on whose ever door and go, hey, listen, we got this game, it was critically acclaimed last year. How much would you want if we wanted to put it on, you know, PlayStation Plus? If we were a good fit for Game Pass, how much would you give us? And then they give them that number, and if it's good for them, they sign on the dotted line. And if it's not, they walk away from it. Just simple as that.
Yeah.
So I think, listen, the anger here is at AAA games, and it goes back to what I've stated earlier. The AAA games that you're seeing launch day and day outside of like an exclusive out of Xbox are AAA games that are particularly either spin-offs or they are new IP that are untested. So, you know, for example, Back 4 Blood, right? That game, new IP, as much as and acclaimed as that studio is, it's a big risk for a company like WB saying, hey, yeah, we'll pour $100+ million into this game. So what's a good risk if they head on over to Microsoft and see if they can get a good deal for this game where you get free word of mouth from, and then maybe PlayStation players hear all the love coming from the Xbox side and go, you know what, let me check out this game and buy it on PlayStation afterwards. Similar to that of like, what was it? Oh my God, Outriders of last year, right? A lot of PlayStation people hearing the good positive praise, they go and they jump on it. So there is something to say of word of mouth. It may actually be helping PlayStation that some of these AAA games are on Xbox. It's not the craziest thought. Every time when a friend of mine goes, oh, I got this game on Game Pass, I'm like, yeah, I got it on PlayStation. They're like, why would you pay more? Because I got trophies. It's just that simple. So,
not to mention how beneficial Game Pass is for games like MLB The Show on the Xbox platform, where that game, those devs make so much money on the in-game microtransactions and whatnot. Like, having that game be a part of that Game Pass system is beyond lucrative for them. So it works both ways.
Hey, Kyle, you want to get the next question here?
Sure. M9 Prime writes in. Did I skip one?
No,
I totally did skip one.
Yeah, and Johnson.
And Johnson writes in, hello, gents. Hope you're doing well. Bouncing off the Muffin Man, Kevin Ainsworth. The focus on Game Pass gives developers a platform to be able to show off their games while still receiving compensation for being on that platform. The intention for Xbox is to create an ecosystem that exposes gamers to games they may never have heard of before and get people to buy into being able to play on whatever, wherever. While the games aren't selling as well, do you think all of the above stated realistically negatively impacts the developers? Or do you think this is more of a gripe because people aren't seeing the quote-unquote normal dollar signs if they weren't on the platform?
So another point to be made here. First off, I think what people are most upset about is they caught Phil Spencer in a lie. And you don't get to catch Phil Spencer often talking out of his ass, right? He was here. Listen, what he states there is maybe exceptions to the rules or stretching of truth or telling a half truth. Because there's no doubt about it. It's like water is wet, the sky is blue. It's like, obviously it's going to impact sales on that platform. Yeah, Kyle, go for it.
And I think
go for it. Yeah.
Speak
from heart.
I'm trying to form it in my brain. It was there and then it's gone, and now I'm trying to get it back.
To you?
No, so like the games he mentioned, like Forza Horizon 4 and State of Decay 2, right? Those I think are in a different category. Those are first party exclusives. Right. So of course they will sell well afterwards. But when you look at other games that are in Game Pass, let's say if it's not a major gigantic quadruple A or triple A game, and it doesn't do all that well word of mouth wise or critically, they're going to try it, they're going to abandon it, and then they're going to tell all their friends that, oh no, that game's not great, and then who's going to buy that game afterwards? Nobody.
Well, I mean,
so like I think it can go both ways.
I've had conversations with friends where it's like one person didn't like it, was like, well, it's on Game Pass, I'll give it a shot. So like it does eliminate risk in that regard. So I'll push back a little bit on that.
Once it's out off of Game Pass, no one's going to buy it.
I mean, sure. And I also think the kind of strength / weakness that Microsoft has here is when you take a look at like games sold for them, not to say for the most part, the majority of games sold are always going to be on like PlayStation or Switch, right? Xbox is usually in third place when it comes to the sales aspect of things. Mm-hmm. So really to entice players and what they're trying to do to build that base of players up is they're trying to say, hey, We're trying to get a mass amount of you, and we're talking a crazy amount of you to come onto this service to play these big AAA games like your Halos, your Gears of Wars, and whatever. We're trying to amass this huge number so that this is a sustainable thing for us. That we could then say, hey, listen, the projects of our 30 to 40 plus Xbox exclusives are totally paid off, and you don't have to worry about your game selling at $60 or $70 anymore. It's just off the table. It's going to take a big number to do that. I bet the number that they would like to hit is around 100 million, Game Pass users. So that means both on PC and Xbox, they want that big chunk so that now every month you're getting a massive amount of money in. So then those big production costs that we see are getting more and more expensive suddenly are a bit alleviated because of this big, cash flow that comes in every month. But there's an equal amount of a huge risk when doing that. So the point that I'm trying to make here is, yes, it impacts sales of more so Xbox games, but I'm betting you the people that are taking the Game Pass deals, they're pretty good deals if they're taking them. It's not like a developer is saying, oh, I know this game's going to sell 40,000 units, so I'm good. No, they're saying, hey, I will take the, $100,000 that I'm getting here because I don't know how much this game is going to hit. Publishers and developers are it's odd. They're very realistic when it comes to what they're expecting when it comes to sales of their games. I've talked to a few of them and they're like, yeah, we're expecting 10,000, 20,000, 30. Like it's not these wild, huge numbers. So if you could get a huge payout from your game and now suddenly you don't have to worry about where your next paycheck is coming from, that is fine by you. So I don't see this as, again, the huge negative here that PlayStation #1 fan wants me to tackle on. I do, and I will say when we talk about it a little later, prefer the way PlayStation's going about it though. I do prefer hey, listen, this game from last year, really great. PlayStation allowed the game to have the long tail at the end, right? And then goes, hey, we heard so much great things about this game. Let's give it another spotlight by putting it on our service. I do prefer that a little bit more if I was the developer. So,
same.
Yeah. Lastly, M9 Prime writes in with this question. PlayStation's competing service, PlayStation Plus Extra, seems to be a less aggressive version of Game Pass. I don't know. Maybe you see those games. There aren't many day one games on there, and even all the Sony first party games are not on the service. Do you think Sony is doing a Game Pass in a way that doesn't hurt sales but helps publishers get paid, or the fact that most games don't make it day one makes people lose interest by the time the game comes to the service? Also, why do you think all PlayStation first party games are not on PlayStation Plus 6 months to 12 months after release? Kyle, take it away, good sir.
I mean, I you just mentioned it. I think they make a ton of money before they head to the service because they're big, giant games. Yeah. People want to play them day one. They spend the $60, $70 or more for collector's editions. And a year later, once they made the most or a huge chunk of money doing it that traditional way, then yeah, they'll come to the service and be for the people who already have a huge backlog of games, yeah, or subscribe to this as a way to keep this very expensive hobby financially viable for them. Yeah. I will say that it is a double-edged sword because I think of when a game not coming out day one on a service or a platform, if people lose interest. That happened with me with the second Tomb Raider game.
Sure.
Like when it was on Xbox for a year and I was super excited for that series, but then a year later came to PlayStation and then I forgot about it. Or it took me even longer to finally play it. So that does happen. But monetarily, I think Sony's studios are making a ton of money the way they're doing it now.
Yeah.
And everything added if they're on this service is just the cherry on top.
And this is why we're a PlayStation podcast for the thing I'm about to say. PlayStation's games, the reason why they're not day and date on day one, is for two reasons. PlayStation cannot afford that, man. That is you're talking about $300+ million games being made and now even growing by the day. Day one, that is a huge risk, even if you're a $1 billion company, to go, this $15 service that'll attract enough people to get on the service. And for the type of games PlayStation makes, it's, for the quote unquote one and dones, once you're done with God of War, you're off that service. So it doesn't make sense for Sony's portfolio and the way they make money to opt into a service like this. Their games are events. We say it every time. It's like the goddamn MCU. Like every superhero movie, man. You're in it for the ride. You're in it for probably the narrative, but you know what you're getting is going to be one of the best games that year. PlayStation has a strength of almost every, if not every other year, being a Game of the Year game or being a Game of the Year conversation game. That holds a whole lot of power. And Xbox, though they've had great years like 2 years ago, don't have those enough. Their catalog, they don't have those event games that people are going to go to and pay and shell out $60, $70 for. They just don't, or else Game Pass wouldn't be working like this. Now they're trying to change that with like Bethesda, with Starfield, with Arcane, with Redfall, and those. They're trying to make moment games, and with the cool shadow drops of like Hi-Fi Rush, they're trying to get some excitement of like, oh yeah, anything is kind of possible through this thing. They're trying to get variety and they're trying to be different, but at the same time going, yeah, Starfield, we're working to make that thing so everybody stops, notices, pays attention, and subscribes onto Game Pass for this thing. Especially to whatever else they have, like Hellblade 2 and whatever have you. They're trying right now. That's why they're acquiring all these studios. They want the in-the-moment games, because right now, in truth, in my opinion, they don't have that. So that's why PlayStation doesn't have to. And yeah, when you have games like God of War Ragnarok that sell 11+ million units in less than 3 months, what's your incentive to put it on there after 6 months? None.
Yeah.
You're going to let that tail ride out until there's nothing left. Kind of like right now what we're seeing with Horizon Forbidden West, which we'll get about to in just a few minutes, where it's now on service. It's been a year. They've gotten their day one sales, their first 3 month sales, they've gotten the bundled sales, and now they're seeing if they can incentivize the people that held off long enough to get on the service. And not everybody's like that. So there you go. That's why PlayStation don't do it. And they don't need to. And there's a cool feeling of like, yeah, I'm typically not into like a game like Returnal, but I see it on the service. Well, I'll give it a shot because I played Miles Morales. I loved it. And I got nothing else to do. Let me give it a shot. And then that becomes, their favorite game. So to me, there is strength in the way Sony does it. There is strength in the way Microsoft does it. They're just playing to each other's strengths. Ooh-wee, that was a TED Talk, right, Kyle? Was I talking reasonable or was I talking a little crazy?
Of course you were.
Right.
You're always the highly intelligent voice here on the show.
I don't know. I think I got rocks for brains, Kyle. I think I'm real dumb.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I'm a big old idiot. All right, listen, Kyle, that's been the news this week. A little slow, but a little exciting, a little tantalizing. Now it's time to talk about PlayStation VR2. And we are joined by our good friend, Steve. Take it away, edit. And joining us to talk about their experience with PlayStation VR2 and Horizon Call of the Mountain, Steve from Console Creatures. How are you, sir?
Gentlemen, I am doing fantastic. I'm so happy to be sitting alongside you guys. Talk about PSVR 2. It's been a while, especially with you, Kyle. I feel like we haven't been able to cross paths in quite some time.
I know.
I'm always hanging out with Joe, which
I know. I'm sorry.
I love it. No. I love our chats.
I apologize.
No, I'm stoked to be here. So thank you guys. Thank you guys for the invitation to come back.
Of course. And, Jinx. And listen, we're really excited to talk about PlayStation VR 2 with you. We're huge believers in the platform. I love VR. I just want more PlayStation goodness and when it comes to VR. So for me, I want to know about the ins and outs of this thing. So, I know some of our fans want to as well. So, Kyle, how about you read the first question that's going to kick off this whole conversation here for us?
Absolutely. From Green Gorilla Gamer. Sup, boys? Between August of 2022 and January of this year, I managed to acquire an Xbox One S in August, a PS3 Slim, a PSVR, and a PS5 in January. I have no shortage of games to play and a quad-digit backlog to enjoy. I'd only experienced VR a week and a half before I got my own, which influenced me to buy my own, LOL. But I must admit, this one is older than the one I played, MetaQuest 2. The wands aren't great, and the cables, the cables. So my question is, does the PSVR 2 improve on a lot of aspects that weren't exactly great from the PSVR? Is it worth dropping double checks price for the 100th time, $1,000 Canadian for it? There's definitely a lot of games which are cool, but is this something I can wait a couple years on, or do I need to get it now?
So this is the question that's going to be the underlying question for this whole conversation, because the tech seems amazing. The games seem great and look great. But before we get into all of that, Steve, I want to know, walking in, what is your experience with VR? I know there are a lot of people that got it and they're just like, this is my first VR experience. Some are incredibly seasoned. So I want to know where you fall in that ladder.
Just like you, I am a believer, spelled just VR, get rid of the E in there, you don't need it. Going even further back than PSVR, I was a staunch believer in the tech and everything, whether it's in video games, entertainment, or even just, outside of outside industries adapting VR into their, businesses and everything. I think it's a great piece of technology. Speaking to PSVR, I thought it was a very great system, very great first step, especially within the console space. I think it was overly ambitious for Sony to get into it. Yeah. I think the main draw was that while the ideas were there, the hardware just wasn't what it should have been. I mean, you look at stuff like the requirements of the Move controller, which at that point were already years old. The camera and stuff like that. It was just like, okay, well, you have this really great headset, one that's comfortable, one that actually works, like provides like a really good graphical fidelity for the time, but then it's all being held back by archaic peripherals. So it just didn't really add up to me. So as much as I liked it, it was one of those things where it was like, okay, I enjoy playing, the Batman experience, this and that. Beat Saber came out, that took over my life for a couple of months. And I was like, well, this processing unit that I have to plug into my PlayStation 4 ain't working for me. So this is just sadly going into the cupboard.
So it seems like PlayStation's like, listen, we understand the hardware, the ideas were there. The hardware wasn't. You're right. I think there was it was just an amalgamation of previous ideas from PlayStation that kind of failed into this big VR unit, and it was a hit for them. And so much so that they wanted to dive deeper into this tech. And even for me, I fall the same exact way with you, where I love VR. PlayStation VR was my first, and even holding it the first time, I'm like, I know this tech isn't all the way here. So now with the tech finally arriving, and it seems like VR is having all new types of iterations of hardware, I want to ask you, has the hardware kept up? Is the PlayStation VR2 the true next step that PlayStation needed in terms of build quality?
Without a doubt. I'll put it's just without a doubt, period, end cap. The upgrades themselves are just undeniable. I think one of the cool things is that, to their credit, they kept a lot of the design philosophy from the original PSVR. They kept everything that worked and threw what didn't work out and slammed the door behind it. Like this right here, the Sense controller. Ooh, this to me is what the DualSense is for console controllers in terms of just innovation, adapting great new philosophies in terms of what you can do into the console space. I think this is what it's going to be doing. The new Sense controller is going to do that for VR. I really think that translating stuff like adaptive triggers, haptics, and building them not only into a controller, but the headset themselves, like the haptics built into the controller, game changer. I love that for the console space. I think that just makes up for so many great immersive experiences. Like the potential's really there. You got, everything from 4K, 120 hertz support. I think that's awesome. It really does feel like when you look at PlayStation 5 and PlayStation VR2, they are there's a synergy there. It's together. It doesn't feel like, okay, well, you have your PlayStation 4, but then PSVR kind of feels like a middle step between PS3 and that console.
Yeah.
These two very much feel like, hey, we're in a family together.
Awesome.
It's one and the other. Yeah.
Like Joe, PSVR 1 was also my first foray in VR, and I loved it. But after I had a Quest for a little bit, and putting that on, I'm like, oh my god, that made me realize just how much of like a screen door effect PSVR 1 had.
Right.
And so I'm wondering with this next one, is the promise of those OLED screens that are in the VR2 and the high refresh rate, are they like is it like crystal clear? Is there so little screen door? Or is it like I'm in Ready Player One? I'm in the virtual world along with these characters.
Yeah, and I think that full-fledged immersion, so far from like the games I've tested, which have been like 6 games, I think the full-fledged immersion only is coming out in its true effect with Horizon Call of the Mountain. But that said, as soon as you put the headset on and you see even like the virtual PlayStation home screen, no screen door effect. You jump into Horizon, no screen door effect there. It looks like a 4K game. I don't want to be as bullish as to say like, oh, it's a 1-to-1 experience that can replicate like an LG C1 or something like that. I don't want to go that far as to be like, okay, the contrasts are there, the HDR is just as good. But I will say that comparatively, PSVR 2 is a way more advanced visual setup than previous VR headsets that I've used. With the odd exception, I would say like maybe it's on par or just below like a MetaQuest 2.
Okay.
I would say it's probably the best conduit in terms of comparison.
That's great to hear, because like that screen door effect was very visible, especially when you turned off the lights in certain games. It's just, it was there in spades. Now, the other thing that I think in terms of build quality, the number one complaint that people had, I think, or concern rather, for PlayStation VR 2 is that gosh dang cable. Why can't we just untether ourselves from this thing? Is the cable really getting in the way? We know that we need it in order to get those high fidelity, to get the 4K and all that stuff. So I get it. I understand why I got to be tethered in. But, was it a factor to you? Did it get in the way of your experience? And was it, the cable long enough so that you didn't feel like you were going to tug down the tower that is your PlayStation 5?
I'll address the first point, or the second question first, the cable length. I think it's like 14 feet. Like it's considerably long, almost comically long. I have it right here actually. And it's just, it's a long boy. So if you're working in like a pretty big living room or like a gaming space, you're fine as far as like moving around and everything. I'm in a Toronto condo, so I don't really have a fear of, tripping over it, pulling my PlayStation off my media center and everything. So to me, it didn't really bother me in terms of the length. I will say though, in 2023, the fact that we're still being tethered to a console like a newborn baby, I think that's a little bit ridiculous. I understand it. This is a second iteration. Sony is still trying to adapt and everything, but I do think that it's a little tough to sell when you have the MetaQuest 2 cheaper than the PS VR 2 and it's wireless. I just don't, I can't justify there being a cord. That's the one thing that I'm like, you can't sell me on the fact of like why this is here.
All right.
Can we wear this comfortably for long gaming sessions? Is it like a comfortable on your head? I it's been a while since I had the first PSVR on, so
sure.
I just remember it feeling very like plasticky, toyish almost.
Yeah.
How does this one feel?
So because you guys also have audio
Also,
listeners,
I'm gonna try
I wear glasses.
Yeah,
So,
I'm gonna try to get PSVR. I know it's in one of the covers. One sec, you guys have this nice chat.
Okay,
I'm not editing this out. I want to get the old boy in here.
Love that. Do it. Yeah. So for audio listeners, I have glasses, and that was a huge concern of mine. Of like, well, am I gonna have to take off my glasses? Which, in that case, there's gonna be like concerns of headaches coming in, or if I wear them, is this gonna start to like impact like the arms on them? Is it gonna give me like it's just gonna be uncomfortable? So far, no. I've been able to sit through sessions of like usually I try to play for like an hour before I start to get like the fatigue of it all. The eye fatigue, or just I kind of just need to move on. But an hour. Dude, it is so lightweight on your head, and
that's awesome.
The foam. I want to give a big shout out to just the foam and the way it's designed to like fit around your head, and it still has that
the notch.
crank wheel, so that you can like tighten it to an appropriate tightness and everything. I think from a comfort level, they knocked it out of the park. I think for people that are jumping in for their first time and they're like, okay, I might be a little concerned of like how long I can actually use this. I don't think you guys have anything to worry about.
Awesome. Another thing that VR needs a lot of light in the room, right? Can you play in a dark room? Do you still need a lot of light?
No. So it does work off IR sensors and everything. They're like I don't know if you guys saw it, but they published like a couple teardown videos on YouTube. Really great insight if anyone's like really into the nitty gritty of VR technology and stuff. I love that stuff. But there's like a whole bunch of like VR or IR sensors built into the Sense controller that the new cameras on the VR headset actually pick up. So that being said, like you can play it in kind of like a dimmer environment, but I tried to play it without lights on at night.
Yeah.
No, the headset straight up was like, you got to turn on a light, dog. This ain't working. It's just not possible. Like, so that's fair. Like, I guess you have to turn on a light. Even if you're the only person in the room. It's kind of weird, but I get it.
I know with the first one and even the Quest when I had it, like if it wasn't like extremely light in the room, the controller would like spaz out and like it pick up randomly, So
I want to touch on that real quick because huge shout out to this new hand tracking technology that they have built in. So far, in an entire week's worth of like extensive testing, extensive playing, there's only been one time that the hand tracking just kind of like glitched out and the hand like ended up behind me or something.
Oh, really?
I don't even think it was like anything that the technology did. It was probably something on me that I just screwed up, but I was really impressed by that. It's almost 1-to-1. Like I'm playing Horizon Call of the Mountain. I'm playing Kayak VR. Like everything that I'm playing just feels like my hands are where I intend them to be with the headset.
Awesome.
Like,
Awesome.
I don't really have that concern, which is very surprising.
That's actually something the concern that I have for the Oculus controller that happens quite a lot for me, which is like, all right, weird. Also, I tried to get the PSVR out of my cupboard. It was encased in all the wires. It hissed at me, and then it begged me to kill it. So here we are.
Kill me.
That's exactly its sound. But, M9 Prime writes in, just like you can too if you head on over to the Trophy Room Discord server. He writes, how well does it accommodate people with glasses? So before we touch more on this controller, I do want to know, you're a glasses wearer. Was this comfortable for you? Because they talk a lot about this accordion style like visor that's supposed to be accommodating for all. Is it true?
When you stepped away, I was speaking to Kyle, just touching on this briefly, but I'll say it again. The comfort level and the cushions that surround like the head, great. I think it's awesome. Though you talking about the accordion stuff did bring up one thing, is that at times, and I'll pull this up. Yeah, this is the like the accordion, like rubber. It'll get caught on like the bottom of my glasses. That's probably just due to like the size of my glasses. I don't think it's going to be for something everyone runs into, but yeah, it just requires me to like put a finger up and kind of like flick it down. It's not a big deal.
Okay. Seeing that, Steve, how well does it block out like the outside light?
Oh,
so
completely.
Completely? Okay, because that was an issue with the first one where
right.
I would see glimpses of like my floor or
My
outside
nose.
light, and they take
you are beholden to the darkness that is PSVR. Yeah, but the really cool thing is that on the bottom here, I'll hold it a little closer to the screen. There's a little button here, and that activates the see-through view, which is essentially a pass-through mode for one of the cameras on the headset, so that you can actually see the world around you in black and white without having to take the headset off. So if you're like, oh, I'm kind of worried I might be too close to the couch, or I need to like grab a water bottle and take a sip and everything, you're not taking off and putting on the headset over and over again. You just pop that little button on, and then
that's a nice little quality of life.
It's kind of weird though. Like it's very grating. The first time I was like,
it took me a while.
Like, what is happening? Yeah. Seeing your own view from like a virtual view is like, okay, we've made it, boys. Like we've made it.
My brain is almost in that robot.
Yeah.
So Strubles and Bits writes in, hey guys, question for Steve. How sturdy are the do the PSVR2 controllers feel in your hands, and how long is the battery life, would you say, on them?
Sturdy is all heck. I'm a huge fan of these controllers. I think just the ergonomics of like just simply holding it, like it just is there. Like I don't have to really adjust my hand, or I feel
it looks so satisfying looking at you holding that. Like it just looks like it fits perfectly.
And I look a little sad with this Oculus one.
and maybe I wasn't paying close enough attention to the pre-rollout of PSVR2 information and everything. It never hit me that they didn't have the shoulder button, like the L1 here. Mm-hmm. So they built it into, and I'll hold it up to the camera, the middle finger.
Oh,
yeah. Okay. I was like, oh, that's brilliant. For some reason that was just something that.
How do the buttons feel? Because with this Oculus one, I'm looking at the competition right here. I gotta be honest, they kind of feel a little like they don't feel great. They feel mushy, right? Like especially the one on the middle finger, especially one here. So how do the triggers feel on this thing?
It's the sense, they're the DualSense controller, but just split. Awesome. Like little DualSense Joy-Cons, if you will. Now, there's no difference.
To ask about something that obviously you talked about in the controllers themselves, but also the headset. How weird is it the first time you get haptic feedback in your head? Right? Like, is it jarring? Because when they first talked about it, I'm like, who wants to really experience like a headshot in Call of Duty in VR? Like, or is it just like a nice little...
I was super worried the first time because they were like, oh, and announcing Creed boxing for PS4.
Yeah, right?
Cool, I'm just going to get a concussion the first day. Honestly... I'll put it this way. So everyone that has a PlayStation 5, I'm sure that the first thing they did, they plugged it in and they booted up Astro's Playroom. And there's that one little sequence where he's like tiptoeing around and you can feel like his footsteps are like running across the controller. Yeah, okay. It's that, but kind of like on the back of your head, so that if there's I'll draw it back to Horizon. If there's a threat, like if one of the machines are around and it like swivels from like your right side, you kind of feel like the reverberations off the side of your head.
Wow.
It's super subtle. You wouldn't be like, oh, that's irritating. Almost, yeah.
Don't sell me on Spider-Man VR here. You got me too hyped.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And it also goes to the controllers themselves. Like if you're climbing in Call of the Mountain and you hit your hand on a rock, you feel it. Like in a very subtle way. It's not annoying. It's not intrusive or anything. It just adds to that overall immersion. And honestly, some of those subtle cues and everything, I was like, oh man, like I just want more of this. This feels really good.
And the one question that I cut you off with, battery life. How many times have you charged this so far?
So I've charged it, sadly, about 3 times.
Okay.
The curse of batteries persists here. Sony just cannot figure it out, sadly. I'm getting about 5 hours of battery life on a Sense controller. Thankfully, they seem to charge around 45 minutes to an hour.
Okay.
But I guess then once you start to balance in, like, I don't know anyone that's going to be playing VR for 5 hours at a time in one sitting.
Sure.
So is it really that much of a con? I don't know. But when you put that number next to like a battery life, I do think that it's kind of sad. It's kind of a bummer there, but yeah, it hasn't affected me playing PSVR2. It hasn't been like, oh, pick it up and can't play it. It's been more of like towards the end of a play session, I'll get a notification on the screen being like low battery. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll charge it that way. I'm good to go for the next one.
Okay. All right. Before we get to the main attraction, being Horizon Call of the Mountain.
Yeah.
Does this come with like a VR demo thing, like Astro's Playroom from the first one, or no?
Dude, it's so funny. I was writing my review today, actually, to go out tomorrow, and that was the one thing that hit me. I was like, the value proposition is, it asks a lot for the consumer, right? Like, it's a beefy price tag and everything. And then it dawned on me, I was like, well, if someone is, really eager to pick this up and they never purchased a PSVR, so they don't have a back catalog of games to bring over, they have to fork out an extra $80 in order just to play anything.
That's a bummer.
I wish, and this would have given Sony so much good grace for players if they had the means to say Horizon is free to play. Like, it just is bundled in. It's an Astro's Playroom kind of thing, but I do understand it, and we'll talk about it a little more once we start talking about that game specifically. Yeah. But I do wish that there was like an Astro's Playroom kind of demo that not only showcases the hardware here, but acts as like a full-fledged game that people can actually get in and sink their teeth into. Because I do think that's a missed opportunity.
That first one that came with the VR1 was the first thing I did when I had my PSVR.
Same, yeah.
And like I cried because it was so breathtaking. Like it was just like, and then that like laid the seeds to rescue mission. Because there was like an Astro platforming thing. It was like, oh my God, this is like, it's a platformer, boy. I was blown away.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
I want more platformers from here. And like the cool headset thing with like the monster coming out, and the things that the girls, my nieces, loved playing with me from the outside and also putting it on. Like, it's a bummer that they don't have something or like a PlayStation Worlds equivalent, like right out of the gate.
Yeah, I think it's a huge missed opportunity on their part.
So let's talk about the games, man. Highlight some of, because you played 6 of them. This is going to be an hour-long podcast. Just this interview alone, it's going to be huge. So, run through the ones that were your highlights that took advantage of the PlayStation VR2 and the showcase. So I think we'll dive in deeper. That is Horizon. So go for it.
Yeah. So I'll save the real in-depth talk of Horizon for a little later, but some highlights include Moss 1 and Moss 2. I think both of them translate very well from PSVR to PSVR 2. I think when we look at a lot of these catalog games for PSVR 2, it's kind of going to be the same conversation that we're having from PS4 to PS5, where it is like, oh, it's a nominal upgrade. It adds on sense controls or dual sense haptics and adaptive triggers and stuff like that. I think a lot of that conversation is going to be had here as well. When you look at games that have already been on VR headsets and stuff like that and just coming over here. So I don't know if there are any like huge highlights for me right now, aside from Horizon. I think all of them, bar none, are taking advantage of, better frame rates, better fidelity, the sense haptics and stuff like that. But I don't think that we're really at that point where we're hitting like AAA bangers after bangers from AAA or third-party developers right now. Because sadly, I haven't been able to try Resident Evil Village yet. That one wasn't available. Same with Gran Turismo 7. That VR mode wasn't available to me either. So in terms of like the AAA must-play games, it's all kind of been Horizon, and then kind of just seeing the small kind of upgrades to previously existing games.
All right, fair enough. Did you play a little bit of Demio?
So I just got a code in for that. Nice. It's one of those things where like over time, like more codes have been coming in. So This is probably going to be like a 2-week endeavor of kind of parsing through the games and going through them. Yeah. There's another game where it was like a space bartender, essentially. I'm blanking on the name right now. I'm pulling it up. But yeah, a lot of games coming through. Job Simulator just came through as well, so I'm really looking forward to that one. I love the original Job Simulator, so bringing it over to PSVR2, I think that's going to be really cool. But it's a lot of catch up.
Did you get to play that Star Wars game or no?
Yes. Oh,
I like a good Star Wars. Yeah.
The only thing, and so I never played it on any other headset or anything, so I don't know if this is an issue on any other kind of hardware or anything, but I did feel a little bit of motion sickness playing that game, only because taking some of the sharp turns felt a little jarring with the locomotion and stuff like that for me. That being said, a lot of the other games, I haven't been feeling any kind of motion sickness. I've been able to play like upwards of an hour before like the eye fatigue kind of hits in and stuff like that. With the one exception of Kayak VR Mirage. That's the one that as soon as I started paddling away on there, I was like, oh, I can only probably sit maybe 10 minutes in here before I got bounced. This is not doing well in the old stomach.
I gotta get the C-bands on. All right.
Yeah, exactly.
And that is still going to be an issue for people that want to try VR.
There's 100%. No easy solution for that either.
None. No. So let's then just get right into it. Horizon Call of the Mountains. How is it? Is it? Do you see the reason why Sony picked up the studio?
When oh my god! Yes. Yes. Yeah. Thank God they have this game, because this, I think, is equal parts demo of everything that the PSVR is capable of. It proves the technology is there, but also acts as this is our Half-Life Alyx.
Okay.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, where this is a full-fledged AAA game. It's not, hey, this is...
it's not an experience, right? It's not Arkham VR.
No, this is a game from top to bottom. Like I said, you start out the game and you're in the world of Horizon. You're in the post-apocalyptic world. You're looking around, you're seeing the tall necks come in, and you're like,
oh man,
oh no way, like this is actually real. And
I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about looking up and seeing a tall
and
neck.
How massive do they look like to you? Do they look like, oh my god, that is huge, or do they look somewhat like comical?
Those necks be tall, Joseph. Those necks be tall. They're like, it's actually wild how much the scale kind of shifts when you're, Aloy third person and everything, and then you're Reyes in this one, a brand new character, and you're kind of put into this VR experience, this first person VR experience, and you're looking around and you see, the different machines come in, or even just like climbing and taking a look over a mountain and everything. Just the scale and the scope of this game is like, holy hell. Now, I mean, obviously it is kind of like on rails where you're just like put down a linear path. Sure. You can't really explore all that much like an overworld game. But that being said, like going through it and climbing, you're like, oh, this feels like a world I'm in, versus I'm looking at like a painting or something.
So does this feel like, I'm sorry, Kyle, I'm going to cut you off because I feel like this question's better and I'll fight you on it later. Sure. Do you, when you're thinking about this game, what would you describe it? Is it a puzzle game? Is it an action game? Is this somewhat of a walking sim? Where do you put Call of the Mountain to you? What are you feeling like you're doing the most there? Because I feel the hands-on impressions, they all sound great, but I don't get a good gist of like what this game is.
So it is very much a kind of like, I don't mean this in like a pejorative way or like a negative. It's very much like there's a point of repetition where you're Reyes and you're kind of like this acclaimed like mountain climber, essentially, where they're like, you got the skills to climb these huge mountains, you got to go out on this quest. And he's like, all right. So a lot of each level of the game is just climbing, which I think is just really fun. Along the way, you get new tools like pickaxes to kind of put into like soft stone, the rope caster, so you can create your own ropes and like kind of swing and stuff like that. So it is very much a traversal simulator versus just like a walking simulator. I think there is a lot more elevation versus like you're not walking as if you were playing Gone Home or something. Right. It is more elevated, like you are doing stuff. And then each mission, I would say, probably has 2 or 3 action sequences where you are pulling out your bow and arrow and fighting off the machines. So it's not constant, but it's there to keep you engaged enough.
Fair enough.
And that leads into what I was going to ask is when I think Horizon, I think of just how frenetic and fast those combat sequences are.
Yeah.
Is in VR, is it that like overwhelming? Do you have to be on your toes, or is it very much they're in front of you and then you kind of really only have to focus on looking in front, right? And taking out the arrows and whatnot.
So when you enter into like a battle arena, you're essentially like on the edge of it, and you're kind of just shifting and circling around, like hitting the right thumbstick to like go this way or go to the left.
Shimmying left, shimmying
yeah,
right.
exactly. You're shimmying, and the enemies typically stay in the middle. So it is very much designed in a way where you're not having to like run side to side and kind of do all that. But as soon as Reyes takes out his crossbow, I feel like I've just stepped into the world of being Hawkeye. Like this is Hawkeye Simulator 101, where I'm like, because like you actually have to like pull out your arrow from one shoulder and then pull out your arrows from the other shoulder and just kind of go through it. And then if you twist your arm like upwards, like your palm's facing up, it shows. Sorry.
Kill shot.
Yeah. It shows like the array of like different arrows, so like a fire arrow, shock arrow, a tear arrow, and stuff like that. So you do get to play with like the elements, similar to what Aloy does in the main game and stuff like that. So there is some parallels there.
Nice.
But it feels so satisfying when you land like a critical shot. You see the piece of armor fly off. You see the numbers jump up. Like you hit them for 50, and you're like, oh. Yes, I did. Like, and I don't mean this in like a hyperbolic way, but there are similar satisfactory moments to hitting an arrow shot as hitting someone with Kratos' Leviathan axe. There's something just about holding, like feeling like you're holding the bow, pulling back, drawing back, and hitting an arrow. That just feels like you're throwing the axe, pulling it back, and feeling that reverberation in your hand. You're like, oh, that just feels made for this like gaming experience. That's similar to what I get out of Horizon. It never gets old. I haven't beaten the game yet, but going through it like level by level, I'm like, I'm just here for it. And it is what the driving force of me being every day. Like, I want to put on the headset. I want to get back into this world and play this game.
That's awesome. And now, though you haven't finished it, you're seeing the story line up. And I'm not expecting like a Rogue One here, right?
Yeah, right.
I does this story hold up on its own, and does it feel like an additive experience for those of who love Horizon?
Oh, it holds up on its own, definitely. Like if you've never played Zero Dawn or Forbidden West, jumping into this, they kind of catch you up on
the gist of what
you're doing. Not so much of like what Aloy's been doing and the overall like, what happened 1,000 years ago and what led all that stuff. Like, no, it doesn't really do that, but it gives you enough so that you can go through the game and kind of enjoy it from a narrative perspective. As far as it being like a must play thing, I'm still not sure.
Of like story wise, like,
yeah, I'm still not sure. Like if this is just a thing of, hey, this character exists in this world alongside like Aloy's out there. I mean, it's no spoiler.
Yeah.
She shows up in a meaningful capacity. But in terms of like, in Horizon 3, are they going to reference this guy? Probably not. Mm-hmm. I don't really see that being the case. This is very much just a quest of like, find your brother. And I don't know what that's going to end up leading to. Hey, I could be totally wrong here, and in a week's time, I could come back on the show and be like, "Listen, you guys have to play this game because wait for the post credits sequence."
Kang shows up.
Exactly, it's the multiverse. But so far, I'm just like, I think this is more of just a bubbled experience where you do get to just exist in the Horizon world and kind of interact with enemies and stuff like that, and just have that thought of like, okay, I'm here. I'm in the same world as Aloy. I have all this back knowledge for hardcore fans. I have all this back knowledge to what led this world to get here. I think that's very interesting. But in terms of, is it as impactful as diehards might be hoping for? I think it's too early for me to say, but my gut instinct is probably not.
Okay. Now I'm sorry, Kyle.
Yeah, no.
Kyle from the trophy room. Would you like to?
Hi. Hello.
Hi.
Question not about Horizon or any of the games, because it popped in my head that with my Quest and even with VR1, one of my favorite things to do would be like boot up Netflix, right, and do theater mode and whatnot.
Yeah.
Do any of like the streaming services that are on PS5, do they have like a theater mode? And is it comparable, or is it just like, you're staring at a blank wall and a screen kind of thing?
So as far as I know, and it's funny because I've only tested it with games so far.
Sure.
The
Okay.
stream, I have to assume that there's parity between
Yeah.
video content and gaming content, but don't quote me on it.
Yeah.
But you're essentially in cinematic mode. You're just pulling up a PlayStation 5 screen, and you're going through your cross media bar, selecting that, it pulls it up. The thing that does kind of suck is that it's relegated to 1080.
Okay.
Frame rates are still there. Like if you're playing games, it's upwards of up to 120 hertz, but you're not getting 4K on this thing. Again, I think it's a really cool additive feature.
Yeah.
It's never going to replace me sitting down in front of my TV to like Dead Space or something like that.
Yeah.
But if my partner wants to play or watch something and I'm really invested, or I have to review a game, maybe I'll put it on the PSVR2 and just kind of sit there. Maybe, but like, it's definitely not going to be my first choice.
Got it.
So let's wrap this up with a nice little bow here, there, Steve.
Yeah.
Do you recommend going all the way back to Green Gorilla's, gamer's question here? Do you recommend this thing, and for whom do you recommend?
So I strongly recommend it for people who believe in VR. I think if you walked away from PlayStation VR and you're like, I love the tech, I love what Sony is doing here, I just need more of it, this is it. This is a contemporary entry into VR for Sony. I think this stands to deliver solid games just as much as PlayStation 5 does, but that becomes a matter of like a lot of trust that PlayStation fans are kind of accustomed to when they come out with the Vita and PSVR, and now we got PSVR2. It's like, we only know, 30 plus launch window games, quote unquote, Beat Sabers down the line, but what does fall look like? What does the summer look like? I don't really know. So does someone need to fork out $750 Canadian? If you believe in VR, yes, go out, buy this. It sucks that Horizon isn't there packaged in for no extra cost. Obviously, you can get the bundle, or there's no like demo stuff. But if you're into VR and you believe in the technology, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. That being said, if you're not and you just got your PlayStation 5 because it's been very hard to find one for the past few years, and you're like, do I need to jump into PlayStation VR2 knowing that, Horizon's there and some older games are being ported over and upgraded? Probably not. You can kind of wait it out. But rest assured, I strongly, strongly believe Call of the Mountain sets the precedent of this is what Sony is capable of. If they can do this and bring in a God of War game, a Spider-Man game down the line, like, we are in a good shape because I think that PlayStation VR2 can support those kinds of, and I keep going back to experiences. They're not experiences, they are games, but you know what I mean? Like the experience of being in VR, experience of living in this world. I think PSVR2 can do that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's, you spoke to what I feel like with this console, where it's all going to come down to the Sony support. It's all going to come down to first party, third party, AAA experiences that we get on here is going to make or break this console. So Steve, I want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to talk to us about PlayStation VR 2. Where can people find you before we set you on out of here?
Yeah, no, thank you guys for bringing me on. It's always a blast to talk to you guys about everything PlayStation. I love your audience. Your audience is always very great to me. So thank you all out there for listening to my words. But you guys can find me across the internet at Vegvari. You can also find my work on Mobile Syrup, iPhone in Canada, Console Creatures. There's a bunch of stuff, but it's a lot. Yeah, I'm kind of everywhere.
Yeah, and it's awesome to see you literally everywhere as you continue to grow. See you in bigger and even better places is amazing to see. I love to see when my buddies do well. Steven, thank you so much. With that, let's get back to the show. Boy, oh boy, VR2 is going to change my life for the better, Kyle. Ooh,
I can't wait. Next week. I'm so excited. After talking with Steve, I'm even more hyped to experience Horizon and just be back in the VR world. It's been a bit.
It's been a bit. I'm excited for the tech. I'm excited to land on my grandma's porch because that's the address I gave him. So I can't wait. It's giving me, hey, listen, PlayStation VR2.
You go show up and grandma's wearing it and she's like, what's happening?
She's like, what is this? What is this box? Why is this a hat? Lindo, come here. Why is it? Why you buy a hat? It doesn't even
wire? Well, everything's not wireless these days. Come on. That's your grandma right there.
Yeah, my grandpa thought my phone was Satan. Not far off, but he's like, that's witchcraft. I'm like, oh, I don't know about that.
I mean, he's not wrong.
I mean, nowadays, I think maybe my grandpa was onto something. But nonetheless, excited for PlayStation VR2. It seems like right up our alley. Now, that said, Kyle, it is time we get into some flashers. Gotta run fast. Oh, shit. Oh, my God, they're right behind us. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my God, okay. PlayStation is making them earbuds, BB. This news comes from Insider Gaming. The earbuds, named Project Nomad, will have an approximate battery life of around 5 hours, which is almost identical to Apple's AirBuds.
Everything's 5 hours now.
Everything, right? Jesus Christ. But slightly less than Sony's WF-100XM3, which has a 6 hour...
Not bad.
Thank you. I try my best. 6 hour battery life. Of course, just like almost all wireless earbuds on the market, Nomad will come with a charging case, charged via USB-C cable to the PS5. And in addition, the same connection method will be used for wireless earbuds updates on the PS5. Hey, Kyle, you think you'll be rocking these PlayStation earbuds, bud?
Yes.
Oh, yeah?
These are actually a yes from me because...
Tell me about it.
I'm thinking specifically for like VR.
Oh.
I don't want to put the big headset over on top of the headset. Having a wireless earbud solution,
yeah, I
think will do wonders, as well as like me actually maybe using them not in VR as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
To me, I think of it two things. First, it's great. I could wear earbuds with this thing. Would rather it be my AirPods, but alas.
Sure. Yeah.
Not a perfect world here. Not a perfect scenario. But I do prefer the earpods over these headsets because what I've gotten now, Kyle, is a big old indent. You see right here?
Yeah, you get the indent
on my noggin. And so much so that's now just how my hair naturally parts. That's how much I wear headphones, man. Like when I'm not playing games, I'm wearing headphones or now replacing with earpods. But like just the amount of editing I do here and the amount of gaming with the headphones, I would like a break from my ears being so sweaty all the time. They're calling me Sweaty Ears Joe at work. I can't have it. And it better not be a trend. I just start son of a.
Hey,
it's gonna be a trend. That being said,
Wet Lobe Joe.
Hey, Wet Lobe Joe, I got a question for you. Stop
Why
it.
do you trip on over here? I got something to say.
Why are you guys being so mean? But like, this is a good addition. I just would rather use my actual AirPods. That being said, though, I was thinking about like Razer has a set of these bad boys.
Okay.
Already in the works.
Okay.
Now, maybe I do wait. Maybe I become a little bit more patient and wait for these earbuds. Because you know me, I got to get the official brand because I'm broken inside.
Yo, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, Kyle. Enough about these earbuds, okay? They're coming out eventually, probably end of this year. Who knows?
Yeah.
I want to talk about what's gonna be here in the next coming of days. Okay.
Okay. All right. I'm ready.
The PlayStation mid-month drop is here. You don't worry. You don't need to be hanging on to anything for this one.
Forget about beginning of the month or end of the month. We're all about that mid-month.
That's right. BB. God of War Ragnarok trial available on PlayStation Plus Premium. For those of you who are still holding out, God bless. You're missing out. Here's the list of games that you'll be getting for February 2023. Horizon.
Can I make
No, make a suggestion.
I was gonna go from bottom to top.
Who? All right, let's do it. Well, I actually think here's the thing. I think the bottom's more exciting. Can it be honest?
I mean, just the extra, not the premium.
Oh, the premium. Okay. All right. Numero uno. The Forgotten City on PS5, PS4. I Am Setsuna on PS4. The Lost Sphere. Onaki. Earth Defense Force 5 on PS4. Ace Combat 7, Skies Unknown on PS4, Tekken 7 on PS4, Borderlands 3 on PS5/4, Scarlet Nexus on PS5/4, Outriders on PS5/4, Resident Evil, Biohazard 7 on PS4, The Quarry on PS5, PS4, and Horizon Forbidden West, PS5, PS4. But wait, Kyle, we're not even done yet.
No, that was only just extra.
Now let's get on to some premium services here, all right?
I'm excited.
All right, let's start from the bottom, and now we're here.
Yeah.
Destroy All Humans, PS4. Harvest Moon Back to Nature on PS1.
Okay.
Wild Arms 2 on
We're getting
PS1.
warmer.
And Kyle, you take it away, the last one here. Say it with your whole chest.
The Legend of Dragoon, PS1. The game I want to be remade so badly.
Here it is.
I will finally be able to play this game again. I'm so excited. This gives me hope for Star Ocean 2 being a part of this one day.
Now, Kyle, there's no acknowledgement of trophy support for these games. Okay. But Wild Arms 1 did have a trophy list, so we could maybe assume that Wild Arms 2 does as well.
All right.
But even without trophy support, you gonna go back to these games?
Oh, I'm 1,000% going to play Legend of Dragoon.
Yeah.
And I hope it holds up in my memory. I've seen a couple people out there be like, I can't wait for people to realize that the game wasn't good to begin with. And I'm hoping those people are wrong. Because it's legit been a very long time. I have it on my Vita, but even then I bought it just to have it. I don't think I actually put time into it.
Fair.
I'm just excited that they are acknowledging its existence. A Sony first-party JRPG. It's a really, really cool premise. I love the look of it. I hope I enjoy my time with it when I hop back in.
I will give that one a chance. Real talk. I was gonna ask you, what game are you gonna give it? Legend of Dragoon.
Oh, yeah.
Because I hear you talk so highly, even if it's for 15, 20 minutes. No, my dumb ass. I can't. Reading boring, so I'll zip out. But I at least understand the hype. Out of the extra games, though, which one tickles your fancy the most?
Come on now. You get one of the best games of the year last year as part of PS Plus Extra, Horizon Forbidden West. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And it's not just the PS4 version, it's PS5 as well. Like,
no-brainer.
What are we doing here? It's a no-brainer. If you haven't played one of the best games of last year, a Game of the Year nominated game, do it. And there's a lot of really great stuff here. I love Borderlands 3. It's awesome. It's on here. You, I think, enjoyed your time with Scarlet Nexus, if I remember correctly.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a bit.
That's on here. RE7 is a great return to form to RE from what it was.
Outriders as well on here, which I enjoyed a great deal, though the story is awful.
Sure. And even the Quarry, right? Some people don't like it, but it is what I remember Until Dawn to be, a campy horror thing. And it's there. And the Forgotten City you just highlighted. Well, it was one of the best games whenever it came out. Highly regarded. And it's great.
Yeah, I'm happy that it's here. I'm gonna be trying it out. I know that this is like the inspiration. I think is the same person that made this incredible mod to Skyrim, and they made it its own game. So I'm really excited to see what this game is gonna be and what it's gonna look like. Though I suck at puzzle games, I'll give this one a fair shake. If the story intrigues me enough, I'll just run through some guides knowing how dumb I am with puzzles.
I remember seeing during one of the Games Done Quick marathons, somebody did that in I think 20 minutes or something, did all the endings.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's my only experience with that game.
Fair enough.
It was a fun time.
All right, Kyle. The last bit of flash news here.
A bit disappointing if I'm going to say that right now.
Oh, really?
Not for the reason, everything involved is cool, but
All right.
When you realize all that cool stuff out and about in the real world is this, it's a little bit of a bummer.
All right. Okay. Sony reveals the PlayStation Plus Festival of Play offers, prizes, deals, games, and tournaments. PlayStation today has revealed new PlayStation Plus Festival of Play promotion that encompasses a range of activities that includes prizes, PlayStation Store deals, tournaments, and newly announced PlayStation Plus and Extra premium game lineup for the month of February 2023. It all kicks off today and runs until the 24th of February 2023. Most of the activities have actually been already announced, including this morning's store and the premium trial of God of War. New information focuses now on a host of PlayStation Stars collectibles featured around the promotion and playing Horizon Forbidden West, and also a competition to win a Sony Bravia XR OLED TV and some accessories. Now, it's no LG, C1 that we got over here. Okay, humble brag, but I guess it'll do. No. And it could be with a chance of winning. You must answer 3 questions related to PlayStation Plus on their site. I thought this is neat. It's like, hey, here's all the things we've announced, and it's here in this nice little package. I thought it was neat.
Yeah, no, it's very much cool. It's similar to like the Days of Play back on PS4.
Okay,
it's literally just what it is, and content wise, everything in there is cool. I love it. It's fun. It's just when you realize that the real life Leviathan X and everything live PS5 and the newscasters from around the world is for this and not a showcase, that is where I say I'm bummed.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. Fair enough.
Still very cool. Very cool.
Also, I do want to know, for anybody interested, like, is PS5 shortage? I logged into Amazon after like an hour and change of Wario announcing that it's up for just purchase, and you didn't need a wait list or whatever. I could buy one. So the shortage is really over.
Hey,
they
nice.
Figured it out, man. So good on PlayStation. Again, I think we talked about it last week. The sales are. I think we're going to see right now, Kyle. I want to know your thoughts. I think we're going to see a huge spike in PlayStation 5. Not like the sales, but like the numbers that we see out of them. Like, I think we're going to start seeing the PlayStation 5 start really outpacing, the PlayStation 4, which it was struggling to do this time because of the shortage. What do you think, Kyle?
I agree, and all the more reason to actually have a giant showcase, an hour 20 minute long thing.
God bless. That said, Kyle, before we get into quick play,
a couple more really quick things.
Oh, please,
flash news I want to add.
Yeah, right. You said you had some links. Go for it.
MLB The Show 23 has a technical test starting February 15th, which is the day that we are recording this, up until February 21st. You'll be able to just play online and get a feel for this year's show. It's going to be very limited. You get to pick, I think, between the World Series teams, if I'm not mistaken.
And who were they?
That would be the Astros and the Phillies.
But the Astros cheated, right? We all think they cheated.
Oh, they cheated years ago, but they still are a good team.
Okay, fair enough. So they cheated, but they're good. It's like deflate.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So, get a little taste for MLB The Show. I always love doing this just to get my baseball fix. So that is that. And also the Power Wash Simulator has announced that March 2nd we're getting the Midgar Special Pack, which is free DLC. Midgar is from Final Fantasy VII Remake, and my God, Joe, yes. I can't wait. They showed some screenshots. You were cleaning up like the Midgar map on the table. You were also cleaning up the vehicles, the bike, the truck. You're cleaning up Seventh Heaven from the inside. The Tifa's bar.
Show?
No,
I'm joking with you.
I know.
I'm with you, kid.
and the guard scorpion boss are all going to be part of this pack, and it's super cool. I'm very, very excited.
Awesome.
Yeah.
There you go. That's been your flash news. Now it is time, moment we've all been waiting for, at least for me. Our interview with Jane Perry, the voice of Selene from Returnal. Let's take it away. And joining us, the voice of Selene from Returnal, Miss Jane Perry. How are you today, miss?
I am pretty darn good. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
And thank you so much for joining us, because we have so many questions. Our audience has so many questions for you. And let's just take it away. Kyle, give the first question.
Yeah, I think before we get into your roles and your career, I'd like to know a little bit more about Jane Perry yourself. So Jane, where are you from? What are you into? What do you do for fun?
Let's see. Well, I'm from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. I'm a Canadian. And
Nice.
what do I do? So I live in London, and I'm here with my family, and I've got a big Great Dane dog, and he's
nice.
part of my daily life. And I'm just about to come out to Canada to go skiing, which I haven't done for a long time. So I'm so looking forward to it. We had this big dump of snow in London just before Christmas, and I was like, you know what? I love wintertime and I miss snow sports, like winter sports. So, so I'm coming out to Quebec to go skiing, and it's just going to be brilliant.
What's the pupper's name, if you don't mind me
that's
asking?
a good question.
His name's Harley. Yeah.
Oh, that's a great name.
Yeah.
I love it. You touch on something interesting.
Yes.
From Alberta, moved over to London. How does that feel, making that type of jump?
Well, it's interesting because my family's British. My mom's from Belfast and my dad's a Londoner. So I think I've always felt this affinity towards the UK because it's kind of in the blood, I suppose you could say. And I guess I was quite familiar with the English-Irish way of doing things from my parents. Having said that, though, culturally, it is quite different. Obviously we speak the same language and all of that, but it's, London is a great, big, fabulous, complex, multicultural, vibrant city. So I love it. I absolutely love it. But I also love going back home. I feel so lucky that I can, be in London and kind of appreciate everything that it has to offer, and then go back to Canada, which has a slower pace, especially out west in Calgary.
Yeah.
So I feel quite lucky to be able to do that. Yeah.
Nice. You've also traveled around the world a little bit doing your job.
Yeah.
What are the best places that you've gotten a chance to travel to?
Do you know, I was just thinking about this the other day because I've worked in Moscow twice. I did a commercial there ages ago, and then I also did a film there called Dyatlov Pass. And it was really interesting. When we were doing the commercial, we were staying in a hotel, beautiful hotel, right across the road from Red Square. And you look out the window, and there it was. And I was just thinking, gosh, I saw these iconic sort of places in Moscow that up to that point, only seen in picture books. And I was sort of thinking, gosh, it's going to be the same now. I don't know when we'd ever be able to go back to Russia. I always wanted to take my husband to St. Petersburg because it's absolutely gorgeous. But I think that's off the cards now.
Yeah.
So, Moscow was interesting. It's one of, I wouldn't say my favorite place in the world, but it's a really interesting city. So that was a gift.
Nice.
So I got a question for you, Jane. I assume you're not a huge gamer yourself. I'm assuming your love is the cinema, film, plays. You look at your IMDb and it's just a huge list of just TV shows, movies. You're in a movie with Daniel Day-Lewis. You're in a game with Keanu Reeves. How did it all start for you? And when did you find out that video games were an avenue that you could, use your talent in?
Oh, yeah, that's such a great question. Well, when I moved over here, I was working in the theater in Canada for quite a long time, like 5 or 6 years or so. And I moved over to the UK, not because I had an opportunity here, but just because I felt like it, which, maybe wasn't the smartest thing to do for my career as an actor. So I was really starting from nothing. And when I arrived in London, I got myself an agent, and essentially, agents will send you out on auditions for all kinds of things, a commercial that films in Moscow, or maybe a TV series, or maybe a game. And so I got this audition it was for Legends 007. And it was at one of the big outsourced studios here. An outsourced studio is the studio that records the voices and does post-production casting and everything for games here in the UK. So it was for this company called Side Global. I auditioned for them. I booked the job and I was like, great. Fabulous. Let's do this. And that was my start in games. But, voice work has always been running alongside all of my other work as an actor, not necessarily games from the beginning, but it's always been there. So I wasn't a stranger to the studio, but I was a stranger to games at that point. So I did that game and it just started the ball rolling, and I haven't really looked back. And I have to say, I feel very lucky because I feel like I've landed in games at a time when games are really, they have found their feet in terms of performance in games. You know all about this with, you talk a lot about performance in games and have your own sort of awards for that too. And I think that is something that's become so sophisticated. And I feel like I got in at the sort of ground level, entry level with that. And actors now are just so keen to get involved in games. And every time I do a TV series, I'll have somebody saying, how do I get in games? And I'll be like, I don't know. Pray for an audition.
I think you hit something like right on the head. We talked about it a few weeks ago of like, games have, this is a medium that we always talk about being so huge. It's bigger than movies, it's bigger than music. But in terms of, storytelling, we have matured and grown quite a bit in the short time that we've been here. Where there are performances that come out of you, out of people like Danielle who played Freya, and that you're just struck of like this is incredible. I know, Kyle, you have a follow up on that of getting into that role, because to me that's the most fascinating thing. So take it away, Kyle.
Yeah, so like obviously you do live action stuff with other people on a set for movies and TV and plays. Is the preparation for that and voice acting, is it a different type of preparation you have to put yourself through, or are they still similar?
Yes, I think it is different. I mean, for acting in games, unless you're on a motion capture performance capture volume, then that's kind of similar to maybe a theatrical rehearsal and being on a film set. But if it's just you voicing the character, then you suddenly don't have the same things that are normally to hand for an actor. For example, a fellow actor to work off of set, costume, script, all the things that actors generally use to help create their character, and also to the things that they might use to bring them into the given circumstances so that they can play what's happening in the moment in a kind of realistic way. So I think really what it comes down to is a real strong interaction with your own imagination. And also, I talk a lot, when I talk about acting in games, just doing voice, it's also about being very present in the moment. Because you have to work with a lot of information that's flying at you, and you have to work very quickly. And I think for some people who are not used to that, it can be a bit of a shock to the system, that they have had no preparation. They don't really know what's going on or what they're doing, but they have to just listen to what the performance director and the game director is telling them. And that means that your preparation is not sitting down learning lines and trying to remember this, that, and the other thing. Your preparation is just about making sure your voice and your body and your mind are ready to go.
So how do you get in that zone? I heard from one of the voice actors of Cyberpunk that they did not even know that their co-star was Keanu Reeves until he was on stage going, "You're breathtaking," creating that meme. And, you are a pivotal character in Cyberpunk. You are also playing alongside a Keanu, but I'm assuming he's not there in the room with you. Is it just, is there someone in the room?
Yeah, I know, very disappointing, right?
I know. He's dreamy. It's just so nice. But like, is there someone in the room with you, running over the lines, like feeding you that energy? Or is it you are the one that has to create that, like, in other words, like that imaginary friend to kind of build off of?
Yeah. Oh, imaginary friends. That is exactly what I have loads of imaginary friends, and I take them into the studio with me. There is somebody reading the lines, which is usually your director, but not always. And also your director has a lot of things to think about. So they might not be reading the lines the way an actor might, because first of all, their day's very long and they don't want to be, like investing in playing a character when actually their job is to direct you. But they are there to feed you the lines if helpful. And then I have, as you said, you just hit the nail on the head, imaginary friends. And sometimes I'm so engaged with my imaginary friends, I'll be like acting with them and I see them and then I'll be like, oh, right, I have to go back to this spreadsheet and read my next line. I get really, lost in it. And I rather love that. But, in Cyberpunk, I didn't know who Johnny Silverhand was until a ways into the process. And then towards the end of the process, Keanu Reeves had recorded, the bulk of his lines. So I go back for pickups and just, they had to fix little plot points and things like that. By that point, his lines were there and I could actually respond to them, which was really nice. And that's ideal because, he says the line one way and then I think, oh, okay, I hear that tone in his voice. I'm going to respond to that. And it really informs how you act. But
I bet you were surprised how vulgar it was.
Oh my goodness, I blushed. I nearly fainted.
I'm going to jump ahead a little bit, Joe, in the questions we have planned. But,
sure.
The imaginary friend, type of thinking, does that get thrown out of the window in a game like Returnal where you are the sole character?
Yeah, I had no friends. No friends. Although I did imagine my mom.
Yeah.
And, but I also had great visual references for that too. Returnal was unique, because it was pretty much just me. And then there was the lovely actor who played my son as well. But our interaction was so minimal. So really what I was imagining were not so much people, but environments, because the environments that Selene finds herself in are so, the environments are almost like another character in the game. And then, of course, the creature and the bosses and things that she, comes across. So I would imagine more scenarios, situations, being somewhere that's difficult and being surrounded by things that kind of make you feel destabilized and horrify you. And, so I had to put some thought into, well, what would that be for me? How could I find that in myself, that deep sense of, I'm in a place that is unknown. I don't understand what's going on here. I am off balance big time. So that's why, recording Returnal was sometimes exhausting in a good way. But I would come home at the end of the day like, oh my God, I need a whiskey or something. Like that was hard.
And to go along with that, your performance in Returnal is just incredible because you are playing someone that, like you said it perfectly, you're out of balance. You're in this weird foreign just planet and you're picking up these audio logs, and each audio log, it's your voice, it's Selene, the character, but it's not. It doesn't seem like there is one, piece of line where, you talk about literally like carving yourself and like, what would you find underneath it all? And it was disturbing. It was dark. You had to put yourself in a really vulnerable and dark place. You prep for the role. How do you get out of that mindset when you're done, shooting?
Well, it's such a good question. And I think it's a very important question for actors who play roles like that, because you have to really take care of your own psychology. And certainly in the past, I have not done that. This was more when I was on stage, not so much in games. And that was, it forced me to learn how to do that, because I got into mental health troubles because of it. And so now I'm very careful with my own psychology. And how do I get out of it? Basically, what's helpful about recording when you're just doing the voice is that you enter a little room and there you are, and you do your 4-hour session, whatever it is, and then you're finished, and then you leave the room. And I shut that door to the studio. And when I shut that door, that's it. I leave it all in there. And it's, I kind of imagine just leaving this black ball of
baggage.
Yeah, exactly, baggage. So, and I do that consciously now. There was a time when I wasn't aware that I actually needed to do that, and it all caught up on me.
Yeah.
But yeah, she does have a really difficult, journey, and I do draw on my own experiences to bring to life her experiences. So yeah, we have to be careful about these things, and maybe it's the same too when you play it. You spend so long in these spaces as a player that I think sometimes we need to just clear the slate. When we finished a game like that, or other games that are like that, and walk the dog. Or
I mean, a good example. I've been playing a lot of Dead Space. It's a horror game. It's very scary,
right?
And to sanitize myself of all the horror, I'm now playing Power Wash Simulator.
Yeah.
And it is exactly how it sounds.
Oh my God.
It's very therapeutic.
Very therapeutic. No horror, just cleaning.
Yeah, just cleaning. I was playing Unpacking the other day. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so nice.
Game.
It really, isn't it great? It really appeals to the Virgo in me. I'm like, I'm going to put that there, and then I'm going to put that there. And it's wonderful. It's so relaxing.
I love it.
I want to get into one of our community members. They asked some questions for you. Dwani Raksha writes in, Jane, I loved your performance as Selene and felt it really added to the sense of being absolutely alone on a foreign planet. I'm sure the development of every game is different, but what resources, if any, were available to you when preparing for this role?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So the first resource that I was exposed to was what Selene looked like, and what she's wearing, the astronaut outfit, if you can call it that. So that was my first resource, and also what what her posture is and how she stands. Like, she's very confident physically, so that gave me a lot of insight into the character, that physical confidence. She's she looks like she's really on the front foot, so you suddenly think, okay, this is a woman who is not, she's courageous and brave, and she's a go-getter. And then as you record the game, Housemarque, God bless them, they're so lovely. They really took a lot of time in our sessions to explain, what the environment looked like. If they had a sort of animatic or mock-up of the scene, they would show it to me. They would show me the movements that my Selene was going through or doing, and so there are all these visual resources that I would then metabolize into character choices, or I would look at, and it would inform things like, how heavy is she breathing when she's landing? Has she jumped from quite a tall distance, and things like that. So visual resources, very helpful.
Yeah. Now, we got another question from patron Kevin Diaz, who writes, what was it like voicing the Game of the Year of 2021? But seriously, though, my question is the story behind Housemarque approaching you to voice Selene, and really their first major protagonist in any of their games. So, what was it like working with Housemarque? Because this is one of their first bigger steps into AAA and
narrative
storytelling. Yeah.
Oh my God, it was just so great. Just really wonderful. I mean, we started recording Returnal during the pandemic. And so I was recording, the very first thing I recorded for them was a kind of trailer. And I recorded it in my little home studio here in London. And that's where it all started. And as I was saying previously, their care and direction was so generous and well considered, and they really took a lot of time. And this is something that you don't always get in the recording studios, is time, or a willingness to spend time on stuff. Some of the games I've done, they're like, I'll read a line or I'll perform a line, and they're like, great, okay, let's move on. I'll be like, oh, I only do that once. Like, that's going to be in the game. All right, then. And, off it goes. But with Housemarque, they really just took their time and really allowed me to find my feet. And, also because Selene goes through these different levels of sanity. So we really had to find, what does it mean when she's, basically saying, what does it mean when she's come back for the, 100,000th
time.
Yeah. And her mental state is like, a little tired. So they were just so great. I'm so fond of Housemarque, and I'm really excited for everything that is coming down the pipeline from them. They're wonderful.
They are truly one of our favorite studios.
Oh, absolutely.
They're phenomenal.
Absolutely. Yeah. Were they willing to take your input on Selene as a character during the process, or like you say, oh, maybe she tore her ACL playing high school basketball, and maybe she has a little limp or something, like things like little things about her mannerisms and the way she moves about.
Yes, right. Well, that's really interesting. I didn't ever have any point where I was like, I think we need to change direction with where you've taken this character. This is not really making sense to me. That never happened. So I suppose on that level, it wasn't necessary.
Yeah.
I would give a little bit of feedback, maybe, about sort of more subtle things, nothing's really coming to mind right now when I think about it. But all I can say is I think they would definitely be open to it, but it wasn't actually needed because it was so well written and as I say, so well considered. So, yeah.
Is it tough for you to take a written character that someone else has written and make it your own? Or is that just second nature at this point?
It depends on the writing. I don't really have too much trouble with it, but if it's not very well written, then it can be quite difficult. And in those moments, when I've worked on games where maybe the writing wasn't quite, I don't know.
There.
Yeah, it wasn't quite there. Usually the developer is quite happy to hear your feedback about that. And to to listen to why I feel like it's not coming off the page properly, and then we do make little adjustments, and maybe it's just a word that doesn't quite work, or a sentence structure, or maybe the character's moving and she's speaking too much and that doesn't make sense. So so little things like that are definitely adjusted in the voiceover studio, I think, from all of us actors, and developers are usually really happy to hear, and collaborate on that score. So, yeah.
Now, and I like one of the things you said. It brings me actually to one of our patrons' questions. Mr. M9 Prime writes in, how did it feel coming back to record the voice lines for the DLC, The Tower of Sisyphus? After seeing how well received the main game was it hard to get back into the character? And my add-on question was, were those lines already recorded?
No.
When that DLC came out? No, okay.
No, we did come back and do that. And it was like Sisyphus, like pushing that thing up the boulder hill. That's a bit what it felt like getting back into Selene's psyche again. It's like, oh my God, it's so heavy, So it really felt like Sisyphus, a bit myself. And it was really, it's always fun doing DLCs as well. Despite the fact I say it was heavy and difficult, it's still fun. I must, drive that point home. So it was exciting, too, because it was doing so well and receiving great critical acclaim. And yeah, it was great. It was good to go back. And
so I got a question for you, because I'd be remiss if in the audience would hang me if I didn't ask, or at least throw a pitchfork at me. Do you think that there's more story to Selene? Do you think there's more to uncover for her in her story?
I don't know. That's my honest answer.
Okay.
I mean, I I think yeah. I'm going to say I think probably there is, but that's not me saying that Housemarque has
Sure.
plans. I don't know.
That's you wanting it to happen because you love that character, I assume.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. I mean, she's deep, isn't she? She's got a lot going on.
Yeah.
She really is.
I think there's more to that story, but I think it's also, it's in a good and interesting place as it sits right now. So
on that note, we had a couple other members ask this question. Millennial Falcon Gaming and Green Gorilla Gamer both asked, with the success of HBO's The Last of Us adaptation, could you see an adaptation of Returnal being on an HBO or a movie screen?
Wow. Yeah, why not?
Right.
Well,
and of course, would you like to be in that? Right.
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Interesting question. I'd have to really get fit. In fact, I'm trying to get fit. I'm not trying. I am getting fit right now. I'm working out and doing all kinds of things because I finally decide. Frequently in these interviews, I say I'm nowhere near as fit as my characters, and then suddenly I thought I'd like to be. So I'm working on that. Anyway, that's completely beside the point. I think the
I'm right with you there, Jane, because I'm always like, it's time to do, not try.
Yeah, do it. Yeah, God is in the doing. That's not really the saying, but anyway, I think it is. The thing about Returnal is that she's just one character, and I wonder in a series maybe we would need to introduce other characters, and I mean, she sort of meets other beings in herself, but
sure.
Yeah, I don't know. Actually, that's a really good question. I wonder
because there's this movie coming out. I think it's called like 63 or 67 something. It's with Adam Driver, and it's and Jane, when I tell you, for the first 30 seconds, I was like, is this Returnal? Is this we?
Right.
Like, it's the same, crashing on a foreign planet. It's like stranded, found a gun laying about. It's like, where are we right now? Are we in Astropost? So like, I definitely, I would love to see that, because I feel like it could translate well.
Yeah.
And that said too, you're in some of my favorite games. So like, you're playing Diana Burnwood in Hitman. You're playing Rogue in Cyberpunk, again, Selene in Returnal, and so many more. Your repertoire is immense. What has been so far your favorite role that you've embodied?
Well, I would have to say Diana in Hitman. I just partially that's because I've been playing her for a number of years, and so I've gotten to know that character extremely well. And there's things about Diana that I find are so enjoyable and so much fun to indulge in. Her intelligence is, massive. And then she's got a wonderful sense of humor. And she is somebody, I mean, of course, she's ordering hits on people, but I feel that she does it in a very moralistic way. I think she's, I think she wants to do good in the world by getting rid of some of the baddies out there. And I love her relationship with Agent 47. I think it's a really interesting relationship,
It's so interesting. And that role is arguably my favorite of yours as well, because you do have a genuine relationship with Agent 47. And it also feels like you are playing 4D chess. And at the same exact time, I know while going through this game that your intentions are pure.
Yeah.
There's so much about that arc that I love. And at the end of Hitman 3, it's just the completion of it is great. How is it? How was it working on that game in particular? And I'm sorry, because his name's escaping me, but the actor that plays 47.
Yeah. Oh God. Well, it was it kind of brought tears to my eyes sometimes, because just because of what goes on between her and 47, and also because knowing that Hitman 3 is ostensibly the end of that franchise, as far as we know. And that made me feel incredibly sad. So it was bittersweet. And, I would be in the studio and we'd finish recording. And then, the person who I'd be working with in Copenhagen would say, okay, Jane, well, thank you so much for everything. And this is it. This is your last session. I'd be like, what? Oh, okay. And I'd sort of slump out of the studio and go home feeling like bereft. And then I get a call a couple of weeks later. Oh, they need you to go back and do more Hitman. I'd be like, oh my God. Let's just say goodbye. Okay, I'll go back. Whee! And excited and happy. And then they say, okay, that's it. All right. Okay. And go through the same process about 5 times, because that's how games work. They keep sort of thinking, oh no, we didn't quite do that right. Let's bring her back. Yeah. And so it was all full of sort of these false endings. And then one day it really was the end. And I had said goodbye to it many times. But I still felt this sense of loss, because it's just such a great game, and it's an institution, isn't it? In the world of gaming, and Agent 47 is an institution as well in his own right. Dear David Bateson, who's become a really dear friend, I must say. So yeah, good old Hitman, love it. They should make a film like Hitman. Wait a minute.
In that same vein of feeling like upset that your time as that rolls over, we've heard a bunch of times where actors are like on a movie set or whatever, we'll get to bring a prop home, right, to remember their time, remember their character, whatever.
Yeah.
Is there anything from Selene, Diana, Rogue that you would, if it was a real life prop, that would you like to bring home to keep as like a keepsake for your time in this virtual world?
I wouldn't mind some of Diana's clothing, quite like her style. And Selene, I think probably one of her weapons would be great. I mean, they're pretty awesome. Yeah, that's what I would choose. Maybe the helmet as well.
Yeah,
I was surprised she didn't say helmet, because I'm like,
or like
the
figurine
thing I take.
The astronaut figurine or something like that.
Yeah, the helmet is quite iconic. Yeah. So yeah, gosh.
What about the cyberpunk world? If you could take anything from Rogue, are you taking a robot arm?
I think I'd just take Johnny Silverhand, to be honest.
Oh my goodness, my goodness.
I mean,
I love it.
I don't mean to objectify Keanu Reeves.
No.
He's not a thing. He's a person.
That's right.
But
But he's also dreamy. That's fine.
He's very dreamy. Yes. Yeah. Undeniably.
I get it. One last question before we go. This one, small one. So let's unpack it whichever way you like. What is your favorite thing about the look of Selene?
Oh, I love her eyes.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. Yeah,
they're so interesting, and I love her. Am I only supposed to choose one thing, or
choose anything? All the things.
Okay. I love her body. Like, she's so athletic and strong. I really love athletic, strong female bodies. And, I think in games we've seen a lot of women represented in a very kind of performative, sexualized, thank you, way. And Selene is not that. And I adore that about that character. She's almost got a slightly androgynous thing going on, which I also kind of like. Like, she's not identifying specifically as non-binary, but I think to me, it's sort of inherent. It's just part of who she is, without sort of having to declare it one way or the other. And I think that's really cool too. So that's what I like about her. She's just a strong, interesting woman who doesn't venture into, as you say, the sexualized territory in order to be acceptable.
Yeah, and I think it's one of the main reasons why I love Selene. Selene is, when you look at her, for lack of better words, she looks like a badass. She looks like she could take on any role that's put in front of her, and she doesn't need to wear a battle bikini to do that. She looks fit. She looks like she could take on any role, and it kind of goes along with her personality, which is incredibly determined.
Yeah, very much so.
She is awesome. Well, listen, I want to thank you so much, Jane, for taking the time out of your day to talk to us about your roles. Is there anything you'd like to spotlight before we get on out of here?
Well, before we finish, I really do just want to thank you both for all of the support that you gave Returnal last year. You were just so wonderful supporting it, and also me. And I really, really, I just was really touched by that. And I loved how you championed Returnal last year. So thank you for that. And I think I'm quite happy to finish with my gratitude towards you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I want to thank you for all that you've done, all the developers out there. It's the reason why we do these shows each and every year. You know, video games are important to us, and it's really important to us to highlight, the people that make games possible. Because it's, as much as we love you, we also know there's a team behind you making it happening,
Yes, so, masses and masses of hugely creative and talented people, and who deserve big recognition for what they do. Yeah.
Kyle, any nice words of encouragement you'd like to leave before we get back to the show, sir?
Of course, I'm so appreciative of your time, Jane, and the team of Housemarque are easily one of my favorites, and I love what they did with Returnal and your character. Like Joe said, any chance we can champion the teams that make literal magic that we can experience is I'll take that opportunity any chance I get. So thank you so much for what you do, Jane.
Thank you so much.
And back to the show. Ooh-wee. The last moments that she says there, oh my Lanta.
The fact that she remembered us championing Returnal, and more importantly her performance in it, that is what took me aback.
Yeah. For me, I saw a few tweets where I remember the Game of the Year conversations was going on. I think it's like a couple Xbox folks that are mad because none of their games made it that year or whatever. I don't know. Whatever, angry people be bitter because of plastic. And, one person devs don't even care about, these awards. It's so stupid. And that hurt me because I was like, well, I'm making this thing because I care for it. I have to believe that's not true, right? Sure, maybe most devs are indifferent or whatever have you, but there's got to be some people that poured, hundreds, thousands of hours of their life into this project, and to see people championing that has to mean something to you. And so to hear Jane refute all of the garbage that was, spewed on the Twitter sphere of devs don't really care, and just go, no, not true. It's awesome to see. And it really, again, all the hard work that we've done on these Game of the Year shows, it really is just to highlight these devs. And my number one goal, as I know it's yours as well, is just to make sure they know that we care about what they're doing.
Absolutely. Too much of what they hear about is negativity of that box bad, my box good, or this the puddle gate from Spider-Man, for example, stupid little things just to yell and be negative just for negative sake. It goes back to when you're little, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say it at all.
Yeah.
And most of the people that talk about games on social media probably have never heard that ever in their entire life.
I thought it was a suggestion. Yeah,
exactly. So the what we do and we pride ourselves on to make sure that these people know that we are so appreciative of the amount of time that they put into these magical things called video games that we enjoy is very important to me.
Yeah. That said as well, again, awesome to see the love, and I hope you all enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments, what was your favorite part of that interview? What was the favorite part of Steve's interview as well? I'd love to know.
Yeah. Who else do you want us to interview?
Yeah.
Let us know.
I don't know. We got a few names. We got a few.
Oh, we got
something in the works. Don't worry.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
That's right.
This ain't the end. Don't worry about it.
It's okay.
I've said too much.
That's right. It's coming. Kyle, I want to know what you've been playing in our little quick segment, quick play. We each have a minute. Here's how this whole big rigmarole happens, okay? We got 1 minute to talk about the games that we played this week. Why, you say? Because every time I hear one of these things, it's like y'all are going on for 10 minutes. It's like, man, I can't be interested. Where's the conversation? Where's the dialogue? Here's the thing. If I'm interested, if I want to know more, if Kyle's interested, he wants to know more, guess what? We get to ask a question, and then the time is extended. Simple as that. So quick play, Kyle, what has been on your dashboard? Take it away.
I mean, let's start with 10 Dates, a sequel to 5 Dates, so one of my favorite games from the pandemic. It is an FMV game where you are literally just going on dates and trying to find love. Real life actors and actresses in it. You make choices. It's narrative based. There's no combat, none of that. It's just crafting your own story in this world. And 10 Dates still has that charm and great characters from the first game that 5 Dates had. And I already have my favorites. Ooh, yeah. And I can't wait to fall in love with these real people, but who are also fictional. It's weird.
Okay. Actors, you
but
think?
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. Man, you just blew my mind for a second there. That's wild.
You described it after, bud.
Yeah, 10 Dates is great.
Yeah.
So give it a shot. Or if you want to start at just 5 Dates, you think 10 Dates is too much. 5 Dates is there. 10 Dates is cool though. You get to pick a protagonist. So you can be Ryan. I believe it was Ryan, or Misha. Okay. So you have female and male leads that you can choose to go on dates with. So it's awesome. Nice. In addition, though,
okay,
I went back and played a game I bought last year.
Oh boy, talk about it.
Ghostwire Tokyo.
Yeah, and how you like it?
I am 32 hours in.
No way. What?
I am 32 hours in, and I am enjoying every single second.
Okay.
Yes, the traversal might be my biggest issue with it. Yeah. The mantling doesn't work half the time. The going up high, right, with the Tengu that you grapple to get up to high places, they're few and far between. There's not enough. And I feel like all the spirits that you have to collect are way hard to get to, some of them, which is making me a little angry.
Okay.
But I'm enjoying the world. I'm enjoying collecting all the spirits. I'm enjoying feeding the dogs and having them lead me to either money or secrets. The story is there. I'm not going to say it's the best story in the world. But I'm just digging the vibe. I'm having a great time.
Oh, wow. Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Holy crap. Oh, my God. That's you caught me by surprise here, Kyle.
That's why I didn't want to say anything on Twitter. I wanted to wait until we were here.
So how are you feeling about the combat? Because I think that's just this combat was hella fun.
Yeah. So I didn't play it. You played a little bit of it last year. And the combat, to me, looking at it, was weird. They were just doing hand motions and magic was coming out. It's way more natural. It's definitely just a first person shooter with magical attacks. I'm never worried about running out of stuff because you can break things everywhere to replenish. Getting the timing down to switch to a block with incoming attack, or knowing what types of visitors should be your priority because they do massive damage, or when to go to the little ones and take them out first because they become overwhelming. When I unlocked the talismans, that I don't know if you got far enough to get talismans in the game, but there's ones where you can stun a whole group and you can go up and silently take them out in one hit.
Oh, wow. Okay.
There's a talisman where you can throw it down and a bush appears out of nowhere, so you can hide in it and sneak around that way.
All right.
There's even ones where you throw it down and the moment they enter the zone, their core exposes, and that's like a one-hit kill. You can just grab a hold and rip them out and they're done.
Oh, wow.
So there's a lot of fun things that are happening. And I'm playing because I'm having fun doing it. There's nothing about the story that's making me want to continue. It's just going around and cleaning up Tokyo, getting all the spirits, trying to 100% each district, which is incredibly frustrating.
Yeah.
But I'm having a good time doing it.
Yeah, fair. So I've been playing a few games. Two of them I just want to give a shout outs. I've not played deep enough to fully grasp the concepts of the games yet, but first and foremost, Sea of Stars. Here's what I will say about Sea of Stars.
Hoo-wee.
Oh my god, this game is beautiful. The combat, it really does feel like they're like, hey, listen, let's make a 2D, like if there was like a, you know, I don't know, like a Chrono Trigger, you know, today, pixel graphics, none of this like 3D, well, none of it. This is it. And oh my god, this game is gorgeous. This game I think is going to be this thing's gonna be up for Game of the Year conversations for sure.
Sweet,
especially art style look phenomenal. Octopath
I'm
Traveler
holding out
2.
till the full release for Sea of Stars.
Fair.
Yeah.
Octopath Traveler 2. It's more Octopath.
Sweet.
I dig it. Game's beautiful. Now, that being said, last game I've been playing more of is Hogwarts Legacy. Because we gave you my impressions last week. Deeper impressions of the open world is, oh boy, I haven't experienced an open world game this much fun outside of Elden Ring, asterisk, since Ghost of Tsushima. It seems like I put it out on Twitter, and it definitely is like the summation of how I feel towards this open world is, Ghost of Tsushima's open world. This game definitely took a lot of inspiration. Like instead of chasing a fox to a happy hut, you're chasing like butterflies to a hidden treasure. It's the perfect open world game for people with ADHD. I'm going towards this quest and I keep on getting distracted and go, oh, where was I? I guess I'll hop on this broom. And even when I hop on the broom, it goes zigzag. There's even stuff to do when you're in air and you know, flying about. So really digging it, and who knows? I might just go for the plat. Who knows?
Ooh-wee.
And maybe I'll steal a bunch of books. I don't know. Sky's the limit. Sky's the limit. Listen, thievery. I don't look down on it.
In this case, it's okay.
I don't look down on it.
Yeah.
It's like you could just go to a library. Why did I laugh like that, by the way? But you could just go to a library.
I don't know why you laugh like that.
I could go get a library card. Nah, thievery. I'll go to a Borders, you know.
Ooh, yeah.
I don't know. Listen, I'm a big spender. There's a Starbucks inside every Borders. You know that?
I like how you mentioned a bookstore that I'm pretty sure is out of business.
No, Borders books. They're still there.
Oh, okay.
They're still there.
All of the ones around me are gone.
That's right. Because
it's a bummer.
Everybody on Long Island don't read because they're dumb. They got Rockstar brains. All right, Kyle.
Coming from a Jerseyan.
That's
rich.
Right. Oh.
Go back to your Sopranos pizza place and
shut
it.
God, it's a deli. And I've passed by it numerous times. That deli is 10 minutes away from me.
If you want to assassinate Joe, now's your chance.
Now you know. Watch season 1 through 6, and yes, power through 6 of Sopranos. Get the locales right. I'm telling you, when they go Lodi, New Jersey, my hair from my forearm, it just stands up. I get chills. They're really there. They're sitting right in front of a Pizza Town. Pizza Town exists. I've never tried that pizza, but I will for Paulie Walnuts. That's for sure. Sopranos talk of the day. I'm still muscling through season 6. It's not good. Really muscling through it.
Yeah.
Hey, Kyle, are you holding on to something?
I am.
Prepare the drop. Here are the latest steals and deals coming to the PlayStation storefront. This week, February 14th, Boyfriend Dungeon on PS5. And guess what?
Yeah.
If you're following us on Twitter, which you should be, at PS Trophy Room, the developers were kind enough to give us 4 codes, and we gave them all away on Twitter, on the Discord server. Generosity knows no bounds here. Journey to the Savage Planet, Employee of the Month edition on PS5. It comes with a couple of cool little like redone cutscenes and enhanced visuals for PS5. Like
cool.
Yeah, like higher frame rate, all that jazz. Labyrinth of Galleria, The Moon Society on PS5, PS4. Souls of Kronos on PS5. 10 Dates on PS4. Wanted Dead. Our good friend Luke Lore over at the Xbox Expansion Pass has an interview with I believe one of the lead developers on that game. So if you're interested, check it out. He really enjoys the game. It's like, to him, it's like, yeah, this is back when it's a game-ass game, 360 PS3 era. That's what you're getting here. So again, go check out his interview. And speaking of dates, I did have a lovely Valentine's Day date with Luke's mother, whose favorite flower is lilac. And
I was about to say, like, no way, Joe. Yeah, I'm happy for you. And then, yeah.
That was a lot of people's reactions. February 15th, 1993, Shenandoah on PS4 releases. Cities Skylines remastered on PS5. Pocket Witch on PS5, PS4. And Returnal's PC release BB. And guess what?
Yeah.
It is amazing. February 16th, Shadow Warrior 3 Definitive Edition on PS5, PS4. Theater Rhythm, The Final Bar Line on PS4. February 17th, oh goodness gracious, Giga Taurus Dino Kart on PS4. Paw Patrol Mighty Pups Adventure Bay on PS5. On PS5. And remember, what is it? Akaba also goes for Paw Patrol. All right, we don't trust those. We don't trust those Paw Patrols.
As somebody who watches
Paw Patrol,
I know what you're saying.
There you go.
Okay, yeah.
I ruined the joke. Yeah. Rutov Renegade on PS4. Rise of Fox Hero on PS4. Tales of Symphonia Remastered on PS4. And Wild Hearts. I'm really interested in this one on PS5. A lot of people are talking really highly about it. Listen, this month is crowded.
Not just month. This is a big week.
Yeah, I know. Next week we got Atomic Heart, which is just a whole lot of games coming at once.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah.
Left is up, left is down is right. Who knows? All right, Kyle. It is time for our favorite segment of the night. And because we're going a little long in the tooth here, Kyle, I am going to cut some of the questions for our Patreon show. So that said, Joseph's a hungry boy and I need din. It's time for the Sony Pony Express. Yeah. Get up.
Yeah, on that note, the girls keep opening the door to see if I'm done.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
They've been doing that for the last 40 minutes and it's driving me nuts.
All right. 3 questions. You promise? 3 questions you got, right?
No, we're good. No, that's not mean to rush. I'm just adding to the you being hungry. Yeah.
Gotcha. Savoy Prime writes in, not a question, just wanted to say, Joe and Kyle are awesome. The growth of the show and the community have been great to see, and looking forward to seeing where this goes from here. Keep up the great work. Love you guys. Thank you so much.
Oh, love you. Thank you, everybody. Seriously, shout out to everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And can I get a little real? Can I open up?
Sure.
Can I open up wide? It's been a real rough couple of weeks over here in Joseph Land.
I mean, Kyle Land as well.
Yeah. Been getting a lot of angry DMs as of late. And I would just like to say, shout out to the Trophy Room community, because over the past few weeks, you've given me so much love, hope, and support. You guys have shown what an amazing community this truly is on the internet. And I want to thank you for your kindness over the past few weeks, because it's really helped keep me going. And I really mean this. If you haven't already, please consider dropping us a 5-star review on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, because I read them and gosh dang, do they impact me a great deal. They really do help me go, and I know they help Kyle as well. So trust me, I could need some kind words right now. Ace Insane writes in, hey guys, I'm a new PlayStation player and have but one platinum trophy so far. Still counts. I'm currently working through on my second for The Last of Us Part 1. Ooh-wee. Yeah. My question is, have you always been a trophy hunter since they became available, or is this something you initially didn't care about? I love many games, but for the most part, never cared about getting every collectible, beating and on the hardest difficulty, etc. Of course, we know Kyle loves his platinums, but was this always the case? Keep up the good work and bring smiles to many faces like mine. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Ace.
Thank you.
No, was not always the case. There are plenty games on my PS3 profile, my old PSN profile, where I just played a game just to play a game. I didn't really care.
Yeah.
I don't know what the Switch was. I could not tell you. I just had more fun getting more out of the games and wanting to experience everything. And so it was quite a journey though. For most of the time I didn't care. I would just play the game. I think and now it's become such a huge problem that I don't pick up my Switch because there's nothing to reward me for playing.
That's the thing that I'm having a big trouble. Like, it's gotten to the
it's
point
so
where,
stupid to say, but it's the honest to God truth.
No, it is, and I'm right here with you. It's the same way, Kyle. I'm not kidding. Like, it is bad because I look at the Switch and I'm like, all right, like, listen, I'm gonna get Metroid Prime remastered for sure. I got it physically, y'all. Pre-ordered it, and remember,
what?
It's not a Nintendo game anymore. That is a PlayStation game. Metroid is now officially how we recognize it. PlayStation. Metroid. Synonymous. Because if they're not going to respect it, we are. God damn it. That said, like, those are the exceptions to the rules, but every game that I can get trophies on, I will try my best. And my rule of thumb is I will get as many trophies as I can that are obtainable. And if I really, really, really love the game, as you all know, I will go for the plat. But it never used to be that way. When I was playing majority on the Xbox 360 back in the day, like Red Dead, I didn't get 1,000 achievement points on it because achievement points, let's be honest, they suck. They're not that good. God forbid you get an achievement score of a 7 or a 3, and that just messes up everything.
Would love to learn why that was the choice.
Honestly, those people need to go to hell. Whoever's putting, like, if it's not if you're putting other than a 5 or a 0, I feel people's pains there. I feel you Xbox folks out there, okay? Because that's rough. But, like, I'll be like 600, 700, 800's a sweet point where I'm like, that's how I could tell you I loved it. With PlayStation, it's like at around the 70% mark or 80%. I can wipe my hands and go, okay, I'm good. Like, for example, Callisto, the trophies are glitched. I still need to get a symbolic trophy for that game, but like it's at 80% and I'm pretty fine with it. So for me, it comes down to the percentage complete. That's what
just finished. Like I just finished Dead Space the other day or the other week. Yeah. I'm not going for that plat. There's no way I'm playing that game 2 more times. No, thank you.
Yeah. All right. Are you ready for this last one?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Katie writes in. So, because it was Valentine's Day this week, my question to you is, if you had to play matchmaker and you can match up with any game character with another, it doesn't have to be from the same game, what 2 characters would you put together? Really happy for you guys and all the hard work you guys are doing. It's awesome to see. May it continue. Much love. So now we're playing matchmaker with...
I got it.
Okay, please, because I'm stumped.
I got one.
Please go for it.
Just because I looked up and I see my Final Fantasy VII Remake postcards signed by the voice cast that I got at PAX East. Humble brag. Love them.
Oh, boy.
And just because I think it'd be a funny pairing, and I was thinking about this character earlier for the Chloe question, where I gave you Chloe, the unit question.
Thank you.
I was gonna joke around and say dang it, her character name from Jack and Daxter.
Jack?
No. The no, the girl from the beginning. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Daxter and Jesse.
Okay.
I think the combination of those two, I think, would be chaotic. And I think they're made for each other.
So I got Link from Link's
In
Awakening.
my head, it makes sense.
I get it. So I got Link from Link's Awakening. And who am I pairing him with, right? Zelda?
No. I didn't even think outside the PlayStation realm.
Right? I looked at these amiibo that are right across from me. So I got Chibi Link, and I'm going to pair him up with Sackboy.
Ooh.
You know? Let's do it. Let's do it. I think they look cute. I think they'd be a cute couple. I think they're both cute as is. You know?
Okay.
All right,
I got another one.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm going to take Princess Peach.
Uh-huh.
Because she deserves to be loved and protected at all times. You know who else deserves some love after what they went through?
What's that?
Abby from The Last of Us Part 2.
Oh, I like that.
Abby and Princess Peach together both fill in their needs together. I think that'd be great.
I'm going to do 2 Naughty Dog characters now. This is fun. I'm going to do... that was a very convincing... This is fun. Nathan Drake. No, sorry. No, wait, sorry. I'm going to do... Listen, I'm going to be like, after 3 months, I'm like, Chloe, this is not working out. Got stung by an exotic bee, and now my arm fell off. This is not going to work between us. I can't live this life. But I know someone that I feel like needs you, and you guys are on the same page. Have you met my friend Joel? I think that they... Honestly, they're 2 badasses. I feel like they mix. Yeah. I think they got a vibe.
We already see the Joel and Tess dynamic. We know that they work.
They work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that a lot.
All right. Fair enough. And you know what? Chief Cortana, not good enough for you, dude. I don't know who I have for Chiefs dating.
Miss Pac-Man.
Honestly, I heard after Mr. Pac-Man's death, she's on OkCupid now, and she's trying to get back out there.
Good for her.
She's on eHarmony.
Good for her.
Yeah. So you know what, Chief? Come on, let's go. What do you got to lose? Oh, she doesn't have a corporeal form. Oh, like she doesn't have a body. Like
she's hungry all the time.
Yeah. Cortana, technically, she was a hologram. Like, let it go.
Come on now.
Miss
Come on,
Pac-Man.
bro.
Yeah. Very inclusive of us, Miss Pac-Man and Master Chief, I have to say.
Is Master Chief an incel?
Well, no, not in the show. Not in the show.
Oh, yeah, not in the show.
Not in the show. And no.
Anyways.
You know what? That's a great way to... We'll let the comments decide. Everybody, that has been the Trophy Room. For the rest of your questions, y'all, I'm going to have them in the Patreon post show. We're going to have a whole bunch of fun, so we'll come back and, have a... Well, you won't even know that. I'll edit this portion out. It's going to be great. You guys won't notice a gosh dang thing. Head on over to patreon.com/PS Trophy Room to hear all of our after show goodness. We got the Last of Us Road to the review of the breakdown of the entire series on Patreon. We have our Road to Greatness, where we break down the biggest games that we've been playing that month, all on patreon.com/PS Trophy Room. But before we get on out of here, Kyle, is there anything you'd like to spotlight before we get on out of here?
Myself, Mr. K-Step, pretty much everywhere. Follow 61 Indie, all the indie gaming news you need to know about. 61 Indie, SIXONEINDIE. Yeah. I'll be at PAX East. Come see me at PAX East.
When's PAX East?
March 23rd to the 26th.
Oh, we got time.
Yeah, we got time.
Ooh, and you can find me over at Mr. Babbitt. You can find the show over at PS Trophy Room on Twitter. And you can, again, drop us a 5-star review over on Apple Podcasts, over on Spotify. It really does help us out, keeps this show going. And with all that said, all that out of the way, everybody, keep your wits about you. Keep hunting and keep playing PlayStation. See you guys.
Bye. Love you very much.